My biggest regret in life? Winning 50 million and only getting to celebrate for exactly 3 seconds. You heard that right. 3 seconds. I was sitting in my cramped apartment, clutching that lottery ticket, waiting for the draw like my life depended on it. I played the same numbers for 10 straight years. Then, one by one, all 7 digits flashed across the screen. A perfect match. 50 million. Right then, I pictured the sports cars, the mansions, the faces of everyone who ever looked down on me. Then my chest seized up. Everything went pitch black and that was it. The money stayed sitting in the bank. I just dropped dead. When I finally opened my eyes, I wasn't in my apartment, I wasn't even in a hospital. I was lying on an old wooden bed. A girl knelt beside it, sobbing intensely. She wore some weird ancient outfit made of gauze. Honestly, my first thought was, wow, nice commitment to the historical cosplay. But a split second later, it felt like someone jammed a whole movie into my skull. Someone else's memories flooded in, wave after wave. The pain was unbearable. I screamed. When the agony finally faded, everything clicked. I had transmigrated to another world. Landed straight in a dynasty that never existed in our history books, the Great Shen Dynasty. I somehow took over the body of a young guy who shared my exact same name, Yong Yun. Funny enough, this kid's original life was a hell of a lot rougher than mine ever was. The Yi family used to be pretty respected in Kinyan village. The old man Yi Batian ran an armed escort agency. He was highly skilled and kept his word, so business boomed. My older brother Yong Lilai was the top fighter in the whole crew. But 3 months ago, father and son were ambushed guarding a shipment. Cleaned out entirely. 3 crates packed with silver and jewels gone. The client showed up with official papers, demanding a massive fortune in compensation. To protect the Yi family name, the old man drained his entire fortune. Even sold the ancestral home to pay them every penny. His hair turned completely white that very night. Then things got worse. Severely injured and lying on his deathbed, the old man had one final wish: to see both his sons married. To make that happen, Yong Lilai rushed a marriage with Murong Shuang, a woman he knew from his martial arts days. Drums beating, guests packed into their seats. But before they could even finish the wedding rituals, the old man breathed his last. My brother, already wounded, drowned his grief in an entire jar of hard liquor. He never made it to the bridal chamber. He followed our father into death. Overnight, this great family shrank down to just one person, the kid whose body I now occupy. The final straw that completely broke him was his fiancée, Bai Jia. That woman shamelessly shredded their marriage contract in front of a room packed with guests. Then she pointed right at his face, screaming his name. She refused to marry a weak loser like him. The engagement was dead. Don't ever look for her again. A frail scholar who couldn't fight and couldn't even study properly, taking brutal public humiliation from a woman like that. He just couldn't stomach the mocking stares. Tossed a rope over the ceiling beam, and just like that, left this body empty for me. So now you get the picture. The girl crying by my bed? That's my older brother's wife, the one who never actually finished her wedding ceremony. Murong Shuang. Just a few minutes ago, while knocked out, I heard her sobbing. She kept whispering that if I just recovered, she would do absolutely anything I asked, even become my wife if she had to. Yeah, I remembered that part clearly. When Murong Shuang saw my eyes open, she just lost it and yanked me into a tight hug. Slender willow eyebrows, a soft oval face, cherry red lips. She was seriously stunning. My head cleared up real quick. I immediately asked her if that promise she just made was still on the table. She turned beet red to her ears and looked away. Whispering, she admitted she only said that because she was praying for me to survive. I told her I was alive now, right? Then I slowly pushed off the bed and stepped closer. I pointed out that she and my brother never actually finished the wedding. Officially, she wasn't my sister-in-law. From now on, I'd just call her Shuang. She looked totally flustered. She kept backing away, saying people would gossip. That is when I let out a heavy, deliberate sigh. Playing the victim, I asked if she wanted to see me hang myself again. Panicking completely, she lunged forward and threw her arms around me. She screamed at me to never scare her like that again. Right at that exact second, a massive crash echoed outside. Sounded like something incredibly heavy hitting the dirt. Murong Shuang jumped in terror. She shoved me away so hard that I flopped right back onto the bed. Barely a second later, the door flew open. A maid poked her head in to check. She had these big, innocent eyes, staring at me in pure shock. She blurted out that she had already finished prepping my coffin. Second young master. So how on earth was I back from the dead? Her name was Xiao Wan, the personal maid of this body's original owner. 8 winters ago, the old man brought her home. Right then and there, he declared she would be the second young master's personal maid. She was pretty simple-minded with an absolutely terrifying appetite. But never ever underestimate her. She was born with brute strength and lightning-fast reflexes. Under 8 years of training, she reached a level where even Yi Batian in his prime could never defeat her. Here is the true irony. 3 months ago, Xiaowan was supposed to go on that escort mission. But on that exact day, the second young master took her strolling instead. If she had been there, those bandits probably never would have pulled off their plan. Hearing I wanted to hang myself, she stayed completely silent. She just borrowed an axe, hiked up the mountain to chop a tree, and built me a wooden coffin herself. Yet when she dragged it down, I was standing there, fully alive and kicking. I quickly reassured her Shangguan. The coffin was not a total waste. Just keep it for later. Oh, and from now on, call me young master. Drop the word second. It sounds terrible. Deep down, I knew a simple girl like Xiaowan could easily be won over with praise and sweet talk. I patted my chest and promised to reward her generously once I got some money. The moment I mentioned a reward, her eyes totally lit up. She bluntly said she only really missed eating roast chicken. As she finished, her stomach let out a massive growl. I barely held back my laughter. I told her, all right, once I get the cash, I will buy you plenty. She lunged and hugged me so tight I almost blacked out. Then she leaned in close and whispered, I am completely serious, young master. If that girl refuses to be your wife, marry me instead. She said, I eat well, I can fight, and I will protect you forever. She even playfully showed off her figure to everyone. She proudly said, look at this physique. I will definitely give you a big chubby baby boy. Coughing from pure embarrassment, I quickly glanced at Murong Shuang standing nearby. I told her sister-in-law, if you hesitate, Xiaowan will beat you to it. Murong Shuang looked a bit annoyed. She calmly interrupted Xiaowan, stop messing around. In her mind, no matter how reliable Xiaowan was, she was still just a maid. Even if she actually married him, she could only ever be a concubine. And right at that exact moment, a gentle female voice suddenly echoed in my head. Ding. Strong desire to take a wife has been detected within the host. The marry to get stronger system is now loading. Loading complete. For every wife the host marries, the host receives extremely generous system rewards. Beginner gift pack. 100 million cubic meters of storage space. 10 crates of liquor and 10 marrow cleansing pills have been delivered to your storage. There it is. The standard perk for every transmigrator. The system finally arrived. Barely holding back my intense excitement, I ushered the two girls out and locked the door. I sat alone to carefully sense this system. Sure enough, a massive 100 million cubic meter storage space now sat in my mind. It could store objects, but no living creatures. Inside were 10 crates of strong liquor, 120 bottles total, alongside 10 thumb-sized fragrant pills. Honestly, the booze was not very useful to me right now. What I really lacked was food, clothes, and enough capital just to keep myself alive. But those marrow cleansing pills, one glance told me they were premium quality. So I did not hesitate at all. I grabbed one and swallowed it straight down. It melted the second it touched my tongue. A warm current flowed down my throat, quickly spreading into every single limb. It felt amazing, way better than a hot bath in midwinter. But that good feeling did not last long. Soon a foul stench filled the entire room. I looked down and saw filthy black sludge seeping through my skin. It was purifying my tendons and washing my marrow, forcing every impurity out of this weak, sickly body. I rushed out to the courtyard, hoisted a bucket of freezing water, and dumped it over my head. Hearing the commotion, Xiaowan ran over to help me wash up. But before she even got close, she covered her nose and asked, young master, did you poop your pants? Why do you smell so incredibly bad? Anyway, after scrubbing down and changing clothes, I genuinely felt like a completely new man. Before, this body could not lift a single thing. Now I was bursting with strength. On a whim, I called Xiaowan over and told her to punch me in the stomach. Xiaowan froze up, saying, young master, you just came back to life. Do you want to die again? I did not know whether to laugh or cry. I insisted she only used 30% of her actual power. Without a second thought, she threw a punch. I stumbled back 5 or 6 steps before dropping to my knees right in front of her. Murong Shuang rushed forward, ready to scold Xiaowan. I explained I asked for the hit. Then I gave Xiaowan a thumbs up. You have real power in that fist. Xiaowan smiled and said, young master, I will be honest, I only used 10% just now. If I used 30%, you would be coughing up blood right now. My face burned bright red from pure embarrassment. 10% was enough to floor me. A strong body alone just wasn't going to cut it. I needed a martial arts manual to start training, but the most urgent problem right now was making some cash. The rice jar back home was totally empty, and I already promised Xiaowan some roast chicken. I took Xiaowan toward Qingfeng town. The whole way there, the girl just would not stop talking. One minute she asks if I'll marry her. The next she brings up our wedding night. She had me blushing hard. I had to shut her up somehow. So I just agreed straight up. Yes, I will marry you, and our wedding night is tonight. She almost took off flying from pure joy and spun around. Then she loudly announced she would give me a chubby, perfectly healthy baby boy. I quickly slapped my hand over her mouth, terrified the villagers might overhear and get the wrong idea. The second we reached the town limits, we bumped into government officials. 6 guards escorting 3 young women in their 20s, hands tied tight, faces totally pale from exhaustion. Xiaowan's heart melted in a split second. Young master, those 3 sisters look so pitiful. Let us buy them, please. I was about to point out they were prisoners under official custody and definitely not for sale. Then the system pinged in my head, activating a brand new quest. Rescue the 3 escorted Li sisters. Reward 100 toilet rolls, 100 pounds of meat, 100 steamed buns, and 100 premium healing potions. Now that was a seriously practical payout, especially the toilet paper and wound meds. In an era where you had to improvise with literally anything just to use the bathroom, this toilet paper was an absolute treasure, and the medicine could save lives. Perfect to keep around for Murong Shuang and Xiaowan. Since both were pretty good with swords, I made my choice right then. I would save them. Xiaowan leaped forward instantly. Hey, you guards up front, my young master wants to buy these 3 girls. The head guard absolutely flared up at that. He drew his blade right away, ready to arrest all of us. Before he could finish, Xiaowan blurred sideways. She snatched the weapon right out of his grip and pressed it to his throat. The guard surrendered instantly. He started spitting out every excuse in the book. I have an 80-year-old mother back home, and a baby still nursing. All the usual drama. Xiaowan tossed the blade down, stepped back, and crossed her arms. She offered them a chance to walk away with a deal. Come on, try to arrest me. Not one of the 6 guards dared to move, but Xiaowan was not quite done. She walked to the roadside and slammed her fist down. A blue stone slab the size of a wash basin shattered into tiny pieces with a massive boom. All 6 guards turned completely pale. If that punch landed on a person, it would be exactly like smashing a block of soft tofu. I struck while the iron was hot and smiled. You guys really will not cry until you see the coffin, right? Push my maid too far, and she could crush every single one of you, tossing you into those woods in a heartbeat. We are entirely alone out here. Nobody would ever notice. The head guard just kept begging for mercy over and over again. Only then did I slowly bring up the real issue. These 3 girls, what exactly was their crime? The guard did not dare hide a thing. He said the 3 were daughters of Li, a department chief inside the Ministry of Revenue. Li got charged with embezzling funds and grain. His home was seized, he hit prison, and his family was implicated. They were being marched to Lingnan for hard labor. The girl in green fired back instantly. My father was framed. He absolutely never stole a thing. The guard just shrugged his shoulders in tears. Arguing innocence was pointless. They were just the Astrid. So I asked him, can I buy them? The head guard tried to dodge the question, whining that it broke the rules. But the second Xiaowan raised her fist again, he changed his tune fast. We are on the road. The 6 of us can decide. If the young master wants them, it is 300 taels. I frowned at him. With endless famines hitting us year after year, a decent-looking girl sells for maybe 6 or 7 silver taels. 300 was daylight robbery. I sent Xiaowan to negotiate. She stayed totally silent. She just cracked her right knuckles. The head guard felt his knees buckle instantly. He stammered out, 300 is just for strangers. For you, young master, the price is 150. Only problem was, I did not have a single silver tael. I reached into my robes and pulled out a liquor bottle. I handed it over, spinning a tall tale without a shred of shame. This incredibly strong liquor sits inside a crystal bottle passed down through my family for many generations. Only one like it exists in the Great Qin dynasty. Take it to the capital and it easily sells for 1,000 taels. You are getting a massive steal today. The guard held up the clear crystal bottle. He turned it over and over, his eyes lighting up brighter by the second. Forget the liquor inside. The crystal bottle alone was a rare item that ordinary wealthy families could not afford. The 6 guards huddled up to discuss. 1 bottle for 3 people, a total steal. They agreed instantly and thanked me profusely. Once the girls were untied, the head guard proved surprisingly honorable. Before leaving, he cupped his hands in respect and announced his name loud and clear. He said his name was Wang Tinu, living in Mud Alley over in the eastern capital. If I ever visited the city, I should definitely find him there. I stopped him right there. You just let the prisoners go. How exactly are you going to explain that back at headquarters? Wang Tinu thumped his chest. Zero need to worry about that, young master. They would just claim the girls got eaten by a wild tiger on the road. The guards barely survived, the prisoners didn't, and my name stays entirely out of it. I smiled and glanced over at Xiaowan. She caught my drift instantly, throwing a punch into the air. Wang Tinu promised a few more times before sprinting off with his crew. The second they vanished from sight, the system chime went off. Congratulations, host, mission accomplished. All rewards successfully transferred to your inventory space. I felt the shift immediately. Looking inside the storage, neatly stacked in rows 100 rolls of tissues, 100 slabs of pork, 100 steamed buns, and 100 bottles of premium healing potion. Talk about a massive payout. The girl in green stepped up, bowing gracefully. Thank you for saving our lives, young master. My name is Ling Ning, and these are my younger sisters Li Qingyu and Li Qinghua. I helped her up. Then I casually reached inside my robe, pulling out one bottle of that high-grade medicine. Grabbing her wrist gently, I rubbed the medicine right onto the nasty rope burn. She jumped a little, cheeks flushing pink, before whispering a soft thank you. Off to the side, Xiaowan just stood there looking totally lost. She dressed me this morning and knew my pockets were completely empty. So how exactly did I pull out wine, and now medicine, out of thin air? She quietly asked about the premium medicine. I kept it simple, told her my father gave it to me recently. The second she heard the old man was involved, the questions stopped. Ling Ning carefully treated her sister's wounds too. Then she handed the bottle back to me, holding it respectfully with both hands. I took it and tossed it straight to Xiaowan. Zero hesitation from her, she caught the glass and confidently shoved it right into her robe. Ling Ning just stared down at her wrist in total shock. She told young Master Yi his medicine was completely unbelievable. A second ago, that burn felt like literal fire. The bleeding just wouldn't quit, but almost the instant the powder hit it, the pain vanished entirely. The bleeding stopped, and a solid scab was already forming right along the edges. Li Qingyu and Li Qinghua poked at their wrists in total awe. Xiaowan leaned in close to inspect the skin, looking more confused by the second. It wasn't like she had never seen healing ointment before, but normal stuff takes at least 30 minutes just to kick in. This random bottle the young master whipped out had stopped the bleeding instantly. She looked over young master. Exactly how many bottles did the old master give you? She stared up at me with huge, curious eyes. I gave a vague dodge, just a few bottles. When you run out, I will hand over another. Obviously, pulling out the other 99 bottles wasn't an option. That would actually scare her to death. Xiaowan's eyes practically rolled back. Young master, this stuff is absolute gold. You could trade a single bottle of this for so much roasted chicken. Just keep the medicine for yourself. I killed that silly idea. Fast, I am the one buying you roasted chicken. Hearing that, she got so happy she literally spun in a circle, muttering again about how she was definitely going to give me a chubby baby. I rubbed my nose, totally mortified. Clearly, I needed to get her alone soon and have a very serious talk. Some things are meant strictly for closed doors. You do not just scream them out loud in front of a live audience. I pivoted hard, changing the subject as I faced the three sisters. I might have bailed you out today, but the law still sees you as runaway slaves. Go back home now, and they will absolutely drag you right back in. The way I see it, you are much better off following me. You get 3 square meals a day, unlimited food, real meat, and fresh vegetables. I can set you up with clothes and a proper place to stay. If you hate that idea, you are totally free to walk away. I would never force anyone to stay. Honestly, I only rescued them to clear the system quest. If they were cool with tagging along, I figured I would just let things play out naturally. Then the youngest, Li Qing, piped up. Young Master Yi, are you married? Xiaowan lost her mind instantly. She snapped at her. Why do you care? Trying to steal my young master? Let me make something incredibly clear. Even if you try, you are destined for concubine status. And you still have to get in line behind me. She puffed her chest out with total pride. Ling Ning quickly slapped on an apologetic smile, telling Sister Xiaowan she had it all wrong. It was just an innocent question. Ling Ning read the room perfectly. She remembered the insane power behind Xiaowan's punch, knowing her fragile body could never survive a hit. When dealing with a blunt, heavily built brawler like Xiaowan, cheap flattery and sweet-talking were absolutely the safest bet. Xiaowan's anger vanished, instantly replaced by pure joy. All right then. From now on, you three have to call me Big Sister. Ling and Li Qingyu obediently called her Big Sister. Only the oldest, Li Qingning, stayed completely silent. I'm supposed to be older than you anyway. Xiaowan stubbornly craned her neck and snapped. I'm not comparing ages with you here. If you want to marry my young master, you must call me sister. Li Qingning replied coldly. I never said I wanted to marry him. Suit yourself, Xiaowan said with total indifference. My young master is the absolute greatest young master in the entire Great Qin dynasty. If you don't marry him, it's your loss alone. Her words were quite blunt, but they definitely stirred something inside Li Qingyue and Li Qinghua. Young Master Yi was a handsome guy with an incredibly kind heart. He spent a massive fortune just to save the three of them from death, and he provided that precious medicine to heal their wounds. He did all this without pressuring them at all. For a man like him, even just being his concubines felt perfectly fine to them. Right then, Xiaowan shifted her full attention to Li Qingning. From the way you walk, it's obvious you're trained. Dare to fight me? Li Qingning narrowed her eyes in anticipation. And why wouldn't I? She was calculating things rapidly in her head. Xiaowan's punch was genuinely terrifying. Sure, but as long as she used clever footwork to dodge, all that power would be completely useless. If she can't hit me, why be afraid? Xiaowan smiled slyly. When I fight, I only do it for fun. We throw one punch at each other. Whoever falls first loses the match. I'll even let you strike first. That was actually the exact opposite of what Li Qingning expected. The second she hesitated, Xiaowan taunted her, "What's wrong? Lost your nerve? I won't use full strength. Come on, you start. If you're really scared, admit defeat and call me sister."
Who said I'm scared?
Ling snorted coldly. She charged forward, throwing a fierce, direct punch right at Xiaowan. I saw her fist aiming straight for Xiaowan's chest and moved instantly to stop it, but it was too late. A heavy smack. The punch landed right on Xiaowan's left chest. My heart jumped, and I rushed over to check on her. Thank goodness. If that part got damaged, it would be a disaster for 2 whole generations. But looking at Xiaowan, she hadn't budged an inch. A smile was still on her face, completely unfazed. "All right, sister, stand steady," she said with total calm. "Now it's my turn." Li Qingning knitted her brows tightly. She knew the deal perfectly well. If Xiaowan threw her punch, her frail body would absolutely never withstand it. But her lifelong martial arts pride, paired with her dignity as a respected young lady, made it totally impossible for her to concede. She hesitated for a split second, then braced herself entirely. "So be it. Even if I fall, I'll never back down. Come at me." She planted her stance firmly, gathered her internal energy, and prepared to take the punch head on. I honestly couldn't watch this anymore. "Miss Li, just back down," I pleaded with her honestly. "You're no match for her." "No need to convince me, young master," Li Qingning said through gritted teeth. "It's the martial artist code. Since I threw a punch, I must take one in return." Her sisters couldn't stop her no matter how hard they tried. Xiaowan was in absolutely no rush to deliver the blow. She turned to look at me. "Young master, how much power should I put into this punch?" "Just enough to knock her down." I ordered quickly. "Whatever you do, don't kill her. Try not to hurt her at all." I knew Xiaowan's competitive nature way too well. She'd throw that punch no matter what. Never hit her chest, and don't hit her stomach either. And don't hit below the belt either. Xiaowan looked incredibly frustrated. "You won't let me hit here. Or let me hit there. So where the hell am I supposed to strike?" I was completely at a loss and just waved for her to do as she pleased. After all, this girl was my lucky survival charm, and I couldn't afford to upset her. "Brace yourself, sister. Here I come." Xiaowan's fist slammed forcefully into Li Qingning's abdomen. I heard a muffled thud, and Li Qingning stumbled backward 7 or 8 steps before collapsing onto the ground. Then she coughed up a huge mouthful of blood. Li Qing grabbed her wrist to check the pulse. Her face changing drastically. It's completely erratic. Her lungs and internal organs are severely injured. She scrambled to her feet and clasped her hands toward me, pleading, "Young Master Yi, could you please lend us some money? I need to buy medicine for my big sister immediately." "Not a problem." Meanwhile, Xiaowan was still gloating over on the side. "Li Qingning, I only used 20% of my strength and you fell like that. From now on, you absolutely must call me big sister." I shot her a quick glance, muttering to myself, 20% did all this. If this woman threw a full-strength punch, she'd probably blow a massive hole right through someone's body. Xiaowan noticed me staring and quickly clarified, "Young master, please don't be angry. I really didn't hit hard. Just 20%. She is simply way too weak." I waved my hand dismissively, telling everyone to head back to the village first. The 3 girls were each more stunning than the last, and all of them were actually runaway slaves. Taking them to the county town would attract too much unwanted attention. It is definitely better to stay completely out of sight. On the way back, Xiaowan figured she went a little too hard. She stepped up to support Li Qingning herself. Li Qingning didn't push her away. She actually thanked her. Deep down, she knew the truth. If Xiaowan hadn't terrified those 6 guards, they never would have let the sisters leave so easily. The exact second we stepped through the courtyard gate, Murong Shuang saw 3 unfamiliar girls walking behind me and froze in total shock. Weren't we supposed to buy rice and roast chicken? How did I return with 3 grown girls, each prettier than the last? I gave a quick rundown of what happened. Then I threw the entire blame for buying these girls right onto Xiaowan. Sister-in-law Xiaowan saw how truly miserable these 3 sisters were. That is exactly why I ended up buying them. I couldn't really read Murong Shuang's mood yet, and I didn't want her overthinking things. But as it turned out, she was actually incredibly understanding about it. These 3 girls really had a terrible run of luck. They will be living with us from now on. I was secretly thrilled, quickly introducing everyone around. Li Qingning thanked her while clutching her aching stomach. Murong Shuang just waved with a gentle smile. "We have all tasted suffering here. From now on, we just look out for each other." Right as we spoke, someone poked his head through the courtyard gate. "Second young master? How did your house suddenly get 3 extra girls?" It was Sun Iru, this body's old childhood friend. His father, Sun Changhai, and his older brother worked as escort guards for the Yi family agency. Both were on that fateful mission. His older brother lost his life out there too. After the agency completely collapsed, the Sun family moved back into their old house in Kinyan village. I had sold my ancestral home, leaving me with absolutely nowhere to live. So this exact courtyard I am staying in right now, it is the very same one Sun Changhai built for his eldest son years ago. Son Iru was carrying a wild rabbit. His dad caught two in the mountains today and told him to bring one over for me. Thank your dad for me, I said, handing the rabbit to Xiaowan. Then I casually added, come by tonight and drink some wedding wine. Sun Iru looked completely confused. Whose wedding? Mine, obviously. I thumped my chest and added I have reached the proper age for it. Tonight, I take a wife. Xiaowan started spinning in joyful circles. The young master is finally marrying me. We drink the wine, then comes the wedding night. Murong Shuang watched Xiaowan. A strange, incredibly deep feeling suddenly washed over her, something she could never put into words. The three Yi family members had always treated her with incredible kindness. On his deathbed, her husband begged her to properly look after this younger brother. Just half an hour ago, she was kneeling by his bed, crying heavily. She never imagined this younger brother would actually go and hang himself over some woman. In that exact moment, her heart softened so completely that she even told him, if you just come back to life, your sister-in-law will become your wife. And now this younger brother really had come back from the dead. When he tried to hug her earlier, she felt totally flustered. Yet buried deep inside her heart was a quiet, indescribable sort of anticipation. But of course, Xiaowan had to come dragging a massive coffin behind her, ruining the moment completely. Second young master, who exactly are you marrying? Sun Eru studied the 5 girls in the courtyard one by one. He instantly ruled out Murong Shuang. She was his sister-in-law. Xiaowan was out too, just a maid with a status way too low for marriage, bouncing around like a rabbit all day. Doing the math, Eru felt certain the second young master was definitely marrying one of the 3 Li sisters. I just smiled and kept quiet. Don't rush it. Come drink some wedding wine tonight, and you'll find out. Then I smoothly changed the subject. Eru, from now on we are practically brothers. Stop calling me second young master. Just call me Brother Yi. How could I? You are of noble status. Noble status? To hell with that. I can barely keep food on the table. The decision is final. Then I decided to tease him. Eru, don't you want to get married too? Sun Eru's eyes instantly lit up. Was Brother Yi actually planning to set him up with one of the Li sisters? He nodded enthusiastically. I patted his shoulder firmly. Once I get past this busy phase, I'll bring you some more sisters-in-law. With that settled, I led Xiaowan out the courtyard gate. I still needed one more trip into town. Behind me, Eru kept bowing and thanking me repeatedly. Murong Shuang asked why he thanked him. Eru replied because Brother Yi is planning to find me a few wives. Murong Shuang just... Eru, have you gone deaf at your age? He said he would bring you more sisters-in-law. That means he plans to marry more women himself, and definitely more than just one. Sun Eru froze in his tracks, counting on his fingers as he tried to process that. Standing nearby, Li Qingning burst out laughing. Stop trying to do the math. That is exactly what young Master Yi meant. Murong Shuang pitied Sun Eru with a sigh. But privately, a quiet thought crossed her mind: if he marries 2 other women, will I be one? As soon as we entered Qingfeng County town, I led Xiaowan straight toward Boss Xiao's place. To buy supplies and secure that medicine, I desperately needed some silver. But forget silver right now. I didn't even have 1 copper coin left. So I had to sell something first. The richest guy in Qinggong County was Mr. Xiao. He owned cafe, pawn shops, brothels, and factories. More importantly, his son-in-law was the county magistrate. A seriously heavy backer. Best of all, the old man had serious taste for good liquor. We hit his gate just in time to catch him heading out. Mr. Xiao, I have a bottle of strong liquor right here. Interested? The old man just flashed this blank, mocking smirk. Yong Yun, I heard the Yi family sold the ancestral home. What the hell is left to sell? I didn't say a word. Just reached into my pocket and pulled out the bottle. The smirk froze on Mr. Xiao's face instantly. A transparent bottle, crystal clear liquor. In all his years, he had never seen anything like it. Beside me, Xiaowan was totally stunned too. The young master had clearly told the guards he only had 1 bottle. Yet here he was, pulling out another one like a magic trick. She just couldn't process it. But then she remembered liquor meant silver, and silver meant roast chicken. Her whole face lit up. Mr. Xiao asked where I got this brew. I told him my late father left it for me. Said I should save it for my wedding day. The lie slipped out smoothly. Mr. Xiao, this is strong stuff. The only one of its kind in all of Qinggong County. No, in the whole Jiangnan circuit, maybe even the capital. This is the only bottle. Before talking price, you gotta hype it up. Can I take a look? Of course. Take your time inspecting it even if you don't buy. I handed it over. Mr. Xiao turned it around endlessly, then held it to his nose and inhaled deeply. The aroma was incredibly rich. He said he would take it. Name my price. I said, let's hold off on the price. Have someone fetch a cup. Taste it first, then we talk. A cup arrived instantly. Right there, I popped the lid and poured a full glass. But instead of handing it over, I threw it back myself. The shot burned down my throat. It was genuinely harsh. Without meaning to, I winced, squeezing one eye shut as the kick hit me. Mr. Xiao found this hilarious. He asked if it was really that strong. I poured another glass and handed it over. Try it yourself. He eagerly took it, sipped a little at first, smacked his lips to taste it, then tilted his head back and downed it. Premium stuff. His eyes lit up instantly. Yong Yun, did your father brew this himself, or was it a gift from someone? If you still have the recipe, let's partner up. I will provide all the capital, and you take the bigger cut of the profits. I sneered internally. That old fox. All he actually cared about was the brewing recipe. Hand over the recipe, and he would kick me to the curb the second he got it. That is exactly what happens to naive kids stepping into the world. Maybe I would have fallen for his pretty speech. But I shook my head and said this bottle was a gift to my dad. If the Yi family had the recipe, would we be too broke to afford food? Mr. Xiao thought it over and realized I made total sense. Fine, name your price then. I held up one single finger, 10 taels. He answered with total readiness. Deal, I will buy it. I shook my head. I want 1,000 taels. Mr. Xiao frowned, looking annoyed. For this one single bottle you want 1,000 taels, that is quite steep. I admit that, I replied, giving the bottle a little shake. But this is top-tier stuff. Look at these bubbles. And check out this crystal bottle. You are a man who appreciates genuine quality. This empty bottle alone is worth 800 or 900 taels easily. Hand on heart, tell me. Am I really overreaching by asking for 1,000? Mr. Xiao rubbed his chest, nodded, and admitted I wasn't. All right then, no deal today and no hard feelings. I pretended to leave and said that cup of liquor was on me. Let's go, Xiaowan. Seems Mr. Xiao just can't afford it. Let's head over to Yichun Courtyard and sell it to Manager Wang instead. The Manager Wang I mentioned was Wang Yukai. He ran a massive entertainment joint in the county. Him and Mr. Xiao were constant rivals. They hated each other. The only reason Wang held his ground was a distant relative working as a minor official in the capital. Hold on a second. Mr. Xiao took the bait perfectly. He scoffed at Wang with his petty roots and pathetic assets. You think he'd drop 1,000 taels on one bottle just to drink? I will take it. 1,000 it is. He paused, adding one more thing. But this bottle isn't full. You drank a cup. I can only give you 950. I almost laughed out loud in pure disbelief. The richest guy in the county acting this cheap. Fine, I agreed with a wide grin. Just one small request. Your tavern's roast chicken is great. Send over a few birds for me to eat. The second Xiaowan heard the words roast chicken, her eyes lit up in a flash. Mr. Xiao just nodded and agreed. And just like that, one bottle of liquor sold for 950 silver taels, plus 5 roast chickens. The cash was securely in my pocket. First stop was the pharmacy with Xiaowan. I picked up 10 doses of medicine, exactly what Li Qingyu prescribed. Then we hit the clothing shop. I dropped 50 taels on 7 women's outfits, and of course a wedding dress. The wedding was tonight. A proper dress was non-negotiable. I even grabbed some fresh clothes for myself. But the second we stepped outside, Xiaowan just froze in the middle of the street again. She called out that she was hungry. I tossed her a roast chicken right away, her third one already. She ripped off a drumstick and shoved it right at my chest. Young master, you need to eat this. I dropped all the formalities. I took a bite and warned her, Xiaowan, you are totally cut off after this. She nodded but asked about the 2 extra chickens. I told her 1 chicken goes to Arrow's dad. They did a lot for us, and we live in their house anyway. The final chicken was for tonight's table to go with the wedding wine. Xiaowan gave a totally obedient nod. We also grabbed 2 red candles. I really wanted a string of firecrackers to celebrate. But these days, finding actual gunpowder was pretty much impossible. Instead, I bought malt sugar candy for the wedding sweets, a heavy jar of rice wine, a few boxes of pastries, got some tea, spices, rice, flour, eggs, and peaches too. Plus a massive watermelon just to top it off. The whole haul burned through another few dozen taels. By dusk, the 2 of us were dragging massive bags and bundles back home. Xiaowan, I have something to run by you first. She just shrugged and said whatever I decided was fine. No need to ask her. She was chewing her malt candy, not even looking up. I asked if it was okay to marry tomorrow instead of today. That stopped her dead in her tracks. I chose my words carefully. The truth is, I want to marry Murong Shuang first tonight. Honestly, she has had it rough these past few years. My family owes her real status. Xiaowan tilted her head, completely innocent. She pointed out that Murong Shuang was my sister-in-law. Would she really agree to be my wife? I shrugged. She probably will. I mean, I look decent enough and I am pretty loaded now. Xiaowan grinned widely. Fine. She said as long as Murong Shuang wanted it, she was okay going second. Then her voice turned dead serious. But those 3 Li sisters have to get in line behind me. I thumped my chest confidently. Xiaowan, I swear you mean way more to me than any of them. Young master, really? I promised every word was from the heart. If she doubted me, she could feel it. I grabbed her hand and pressed it flat against my chest. She whispered, "Young master, your heart is beating insanely fast." I told her that happens when I think about her. She checked both ways. Coast clear. Then she stood on her tiptoes and kissed my cheek. I asked who taught her that. She blushed hard. Back in the city, the girls at the Yichun courtyard kissed exactly like that. Heading back to Yong Yun village, we passed the chief's house. I handed him a big scoop of candy and invited him over for wedding wine that night. When you live in a village, you have to show the chief respect. Next stop, the Sun family home. I had Xiaowan wait by the gate. I walked in carrying pork belly, a roast chicken, and a box of premium sweets. Sun Shanghai and his son gave up a lot for me. I needed to knock on their door myself and pay my respects properly. Sun Shanghai kept the pork and sweets, but no matter what I said, he absolutely refused the roast chicken. Everybody knew roast chicken was Xiaowan's absolute favorite thing. Once we got back home, I handed out the new clothes. One outfit for each of the 3 Li sisters, and 2 outfits each for Xiaowan and Merong Shuang. I laid out all the treats and fruit on the table. The malt sugar candy was intensely sweet, sticking right to your teeth. The peaches were crisp and perfectly cold. I finished my peach, picked up that big red wedding dress, and waved Merong Shuang over. "Sister-in-law, come to the back room for a second. We need to talk." The second she stepped inside, I shut the door right behind her. I told her I bought the dress for her. Staring at the red silk in my hands, her entire body went totally rigid. She asked, "Feng Yun, weren't you marrying Xiaowan tonight?" I explained that Xiaowan and I had talked. I was making her my primary wife instead. Merong Shuang's face flushed crimson. I just laid it out straight. "Those 3 Li sisters want to marry me too. If you don't say yes tonight, one of them will snatch that primary wife title." She argued she was my brother's wife. I shook my head. "No, you aren't. You two never even finished the bowing ceremonies, let alone actually consummated the marriage. How does that make you his wife? Think about everything you did since joining the Yi family. The escort missions, putting your life on the line for us time and time again. Now I am the only Yi family member left. It is my job to make things right and compensate you." She hesitated. "Feng Yun, your dad and brother died less than 6 months ago. If we get married now, the villagers will definitely whisper behind our backs. I will handle it. Nobody is going to say a word." I slipped my right hand around her back, pulled her in slowly until she was resting right in my arms. Surprisingly, she didn't even try to push me away. That gave me a bit more courage, so I wrapped both arms around her. Deep down, I knew Merong Shuang was an absolute expert in martial arts. If she really didn't want this, I never would have gotten close. Her staying put meant she was agreeing. It was a silent yes, but we barely held each other for 3 seconds before the door creaked. Xiaowan suddenly poked her head in. Xiaowan asked how we could be hugging when we hadn't even done the wedding bows yet, young master. Merong Shuang shoved me away, completely flustered. She shot Xiaowan a sharp glare and asked, "Wasn't eating all that candy outside enough for you? Why are you snooping around?" Xiaowan noticed absolutely nothing and just flashed a massive grin. She declared Miss Merong would be the first wife now, while she'd be the second. Together they would serve the young master with total devotion. She boldly added that Merong would have a daughter, but she'd have a son since her backside was bigger. "Come on, sister-in-law, hurry up and change into your wedding dress." Then she said she'd go start dinner. I instantly grabbed Xiaowan and dragged her right outside. If I let her keep talking, she would have invited herself right into the bedroom. And even though the 3 Li sisters came from a wealthy family, they were incredibly skilled in the kitchen. Once I gave the signal, Qinhua and Qingu got busy cooking. As for Li Qingning, she could only lie down and rest after taking that hit. Before long, Sun Sunhai and his son arrived to offer their congratulations. Shanhai handed me a simple, antique bronze mirror. He apologized, saying this happy occasion happened so fast. Second young master, and he didn't have time to prepare a proper gift. He insisted I take the mirror instead. He called it a simple token. I didn't refuse. I took it and asked Xiaowan to serve tea. The village chief also showed up, bringing 10 eggs with him. A large crowd of villagers had gathered right outside the courtyard gate, but I'd only set up one banquet table, so I didn't invite them inside. I just had Xiaowan grab some sweets and hand them out to everyone. Everyone who got candy stepped up with warm congratulations. So I decided to say a few words to the crowd. I told them my Yi family had faced disaster after disaster lately. Just yesterday, I hired a fortune teller to read my fate and uncover everything. He said I needed a joyous wedding to break this terrible losing streak. He confidently declared Miss Merong was the lucky star my family desperately needed. You all know Miss Merong and my older brother were never officially married, but our family isn't the type to forget a kindness and turn our backs on people. So today, I decided to marry her myself. The villagers broke into another loud round of cheers. Meanwhile, Merong Shuang heard every word out in the courtyard, her eyes filling with tears. I asked Xiaowan to throw out another handful of candy. Then I pulled 30 to 40 copper coins right out of my pocket. I tossed them near the gate as wedding cash. They clattered against the dirt, leaving the villagers scrambling. Once everyone got their sweets and coins, the crowd happily scattered. Then, with Xiaowan and the Sun Men as witnesses, Murong Shuang and I performed the wedding vows. First bow to heaven and earth. Second, out of respect for our elders. We bowed once to my parents' memorial tablet. Then husband and wife bowed to each other. Before she was sent right to the bridal chamber, Xiaowan helped the bride Murong Shuang into the inner room, while I made sure our guests had plenty to drink. The jug of rice wine I'd bought in town sat right there on the table. I didn't touch a single bottle of the Ergo2 liquor hidden in my storage space. That stash was the core capital for my very first massive project. Now that I had landed in this great Qin dynasty, I was fully determined to build something huge, make it amazing, and rise to glory once more. The three sisters were proper girls from a high-class family. They maintained their manners and kept away from our table. But Xiaowan had absolutely zero reservations like that. She sat down instantly, ripped off a chicken leg and shoved it toward me. She loudly told me to eat it, young master. Feeling incredibly awkward, I took it and set it on my plate, then picked up my glass to drink with the village chief and the Sun Men. Honestly, the rice wine back in these days was absolutely terrible. I drank half a bowl, setting it aside. Sun sat beside me, wiggling his eyebrows slyly. He jokingly asked, "Brother Yi, you're worried about drinking too much and failing to handle the wedding night later, aren't you?" I just smiled wordlessly. Shot him a look that said he was a little bastard, but he nailed it. After 3 rounds, I started seeing the guests out. Once those 3 guests left, the 3 sisters finally sat down at the table. Sadly, they discovered that every single meat dish had been completely devoured. While no one was watching, I quietly pulled 6 large steamed white buns from my storage space and handed them to the sisters, chatting with them for a bit. Then I carried a pastry box and a pot of clear tea into the bridal room. I quietly latched the door behind me. What happened next was crucial. I wasn't about to let that reckless Xiaowan bust in and ruin the mood all over again. Murong Shuang sat on the bed in her bright red wedding dress, a scarlet veil covering her head. She was so nervous her shoulders were visibly shaking. I lifted her veil, smiling as the red candle flickered beside us. "Shuanger, you must be hungry, right?" Murong Shuang kept her head down. Her voice was so soft it could melt away, "Husband, I am not hungry." I placed some pastries and a teapot on the wooden nightstand, offering a gentle smile. "Shuanger, at least eat a little something. Once you are full, we will move on to more important matters." She instantly understood exactly what I meant by that. Her face turned a deep scarlet, looking like it might actually bleed. Hiding her obvious embarrassment, she grabbed a pastry and took tiny, hesitant bites. I stood there watching her silently. Finishing her first piece, she grabbed the teacup and quietly rinsed her mouth. She squeezed her eyes shut and whispered, "Husband, please be gentle." What was meant to happen was inevitably starting now. Smiling faintly, I blew out the red candle in one single breath. Of life's 4 great joys, the wedding night is easily my absolute favorite. No need for any more words. Everything happened completely naturally, like water flowing down a hill. About an hour later, a familiar voice chimed inside my head. The usual system notification sound. "Congratulations to the host on marrying your first wife. Reward granted. 1 manual for the mountain-suppressing fist, and 10 bottles of golden spear kidney enhancement pill. Item: 100 bags of bread, 100 milk cartons, 100 boxes of instant ramen, 100 sausage pack, and 100 bags of pickled mustard. Item: 1 clear water sword, the black fox dagger, 1 suppressed pistol, and exactly 100 rounds of ammunition. Item: all rewards have been safely delivered to your storage space. The host may inspect them at your convenience." I was absolutely thrilled. Today had truly been a spectacular day by every measure. First, I married an incredibly beautiful bride. And the moment we consummated our marriage, the system immediately sent me this massive, generous pile of awesome rewards. I did not care much about the bread, milk, instant ramen, or sausages. The thing I really wanted this time around was that suppressed pistol. The only real flaw here was that it came with just 100 bullets. Even if I never missed a single shot, I could drop 100 men at most. If I ever faced down an entire army someday, 1 single gun would never solve that problem. If the system was just slightly more generous and threw me 100 or 200,000 bullets, that would be truly amazing. Then again, I was perfectly satisfied with my haul. Caught up in the excitement, I pulled the woman beside me right back into my arms. And on that exact same night, someone was actually squatting directly under the window of the east room where I was sleeping. It was Xiaowan, my foolish maid. Claiming she overate at dinner, she said she could not sleep. She worried that Murong Shuang, being a trained martial artist, might completely take advantage of me, her helpless young master who lacked the strength to even slaughter a chicken. So she quietly sneaked out in the pitch black to stand guard outside my window. But there was another little scheme hidden in her heart, a plan she never dared to say out loud. She did not actually understand what consummating a marriage meant. She desperately wanted to see it firsthand, so she would not panic and lose her nerve when her own wedding night finally arrived. Luckily, Li Qingning, who was currently staying at my house, had gotten up to use the outdoor outhouse at that exact moment and spotted her in a single glance. Even though she already knew the answer, Li Qingning asked her Xiao Wan, "What are you listening to? Squatting under the window like that?" Shaking her head and raising a finger, Xiao Wan quickly replied, "I am not listening to anything. You be quiet too." Then both girls carefully crept toward the west room, barely holding back her laughter. Li Qingning kept pressing her for answers. Eventually, Xiao Wan just could not hold it in anymore. Lowering her voice, she spilled the whole story of her secret eavesdropping. Li Qingning then asked, "So, did your young master get taken advantage of?" Xiao Wan shook her head innocently, "Probably not. All I heard was Sister Shuang crying out over and over again. Her voice held about 3 parts pain, 3 parts embarrassment, and 4 parts something else. I really can't quite pinpoint what it was. It sounded like that pure bliss and satisfaction I feel when devouring 3 whole roasted chickens in one sitting." Hearing this, Li Qingning instantly burst into a fit of laughter. But she had barely laughed twice before she suddenly yelped. Then she squatted down, bowing her head, totally afraid to look up. Xiao Wan sniffed the air, circled around her once, and then took a cautious step back. She was afraid of getting her shoes wet. Now it was Xiao Wan's turn to gloat. Turns out, Li Qing had laughed so hard she completely wet her pants. "Xiao Wan, keep your voice down. And whatever you do, absolutely never tell anyone about this." Li Qingning's voice was actually shaking. Xiao Wan flashed a sly smile and replied, "I can keep quiet, but you have to call me Big Sister." Li Qingning was full of hesitation, but she eventually managed to force herself to utter the words Big Sister. Xiao Wan said with obvious smugness, "Remember this well. From now on, you have to call me that title every single time you see me, or else I will tell the young master you wet your pants." Li Qing was so furious she almost shattered her back teeth, but she didn't dare make a scene. First, because she was terrified of alerting the others, and second, because she was absolutely no match for Xiao Wan. This girl might not be the brightest, but her martial arts skills were truly terrifying. Even on a pitch-black night where you could not see your own hand, she could see everything clearly within 10 steps. At the first gray streak of dawn, I woke up completely energized. As it was my first day of marriage, I planned to cook a proper delicious breakfast for my wife, Xiao Wan, and the rest. While no one was watching me, I quietly pulled 6 cartons of milk from my storage space and poured them into 6 bowls. Then I brought out about 12 steamed white buns along with a small dish of pickled mustard. Then I lit the fire, placed the pot, and immediately started boiling the 10 eggs the village head brought us yesterday. Once everything was ready, I strolled out the courtyard gate and made my way right out of the village. With a simple thought, I pulled out the Mountain Suppression Fist Manual, a system reward from my storage space. I flipped the pages open, and what a pleasant surprise. There were 18 martial arts moves in this manual altogether. At basic mastery, 1 punch could kill a bull, and at full mastery, you could snatch an enemy general's head from amidst 10,000 soldiers. I followed the manual's instructions, executing a few spontaneous practice moves. Strangely enough, ever since I swallowed that cleansing pill yesterday, I felt light as air, especially in my lower belly around the dantian. I could clearly feel a current of energy swirling right there. My whole body had transformed, and practicing fist techniques became remarkably easy. In less time than it takes an incense stick to burn, I had already practiced the Mountain Suppression Fist to basic mastery. I approached a huge tree thick as a large bowl, channeled my internal strength, and threw a devastating punch, blowing a clean hole right through the trunk. I opened my hand and looked at it in total satisfaction. I put the manual aside, pulling out the other treasures one by one. First was the Clearwater Sword, jade green from end to end. When I grabbed and swung it, the 3-foot blade surged, giving off a strange illusion of water ripples. I swung casually at a small sapling. The blade was terrifyingly sharp. The ox-thick trunk split entirely with one strike. This sword would be perfect for Murong Shuang. Next came the dagger called Black Fox, completely pitch black and forged from meteoric iron. I gripped it and fiercely stabbed a bluish rock big as a pot lid. The blade sank to the hilt easily, like plunging into soft tofu. Handing this to a close-range fighter like Xiao Wan, it would be like giving wings to a tiger. Finally came my favorite weapon, the silenced pistol. I am honestly a little embarrassed to admit I have never used a real gun before. Settling the actual weapon in my hand, it felt heavy. It had real weight. I loaded it up completely. Racking the slide, I flicked off the safety, aimed at a big tree 10 steps away, and aligned the 3 dots, gently squeezing the trigger. A muffled pop hit, and the bullet buried into the trunk. The noise was pitifully low. With this pistol from now on, even when Xiao Wan is not beside me, I will at least have something small for self-defense. I headed home feeling extremely satisfied. Upon entering the courtyard, I saw Li Qing squatting there washing clothes. I asked, "Your injuries haven't fully healed yet. Why not let your sister help wash these clothes?" She replied that her injuries were mostly fine now. I took another look at the clothes. "Aren't those the exact clothes I just gave you yesterday? Why wash them so fast?" Li Qing's face instantly flushed red and she stammered, completely unable to answer. Right then, Xiaowan walked over saying, "Young master, I ran into the funniest thing last night." But before she could finish, Li Qing jumped up and loudly interrupted her big sister Xiaowan. "Good morning." Xiaowan grinned widely and said, "Little sister, I like this attitude of yours." I was watching from the sidelines, totally confused. Yesterday, instead of calling Xiaowan big sister, Li Qing took a punch that made her cough up blood. And after just one night, neither held a grudge. They had actually gotten much friendlier. This whole shift left me completely baffled. I pushed the question, "Xiaowan, what funny thing did you encounter?" The second Li Qing heard this, her entire body tensed up. If everyone realized she laughed so hard last night that she wet her pants, she would never outlive the shame. Luckily, Xiaowan just scratched her head and said, "Oh, Li Qing calling me big sister totally knocked the whole thing out of my head." Li Qing secretly wiped a cold sweat off her forehead. I decided not to dig into it any further. Instead, I handed the dagger and longsword to Xiaowan and Murong Shuang, who walked into the courtyard a few moments later. I made up a quick story about buying them from an old man selling weapons just outside the village borders. Murong Shuang grabbed the clear water sword, slid it right from the scabbard, and swung it flawlessly twice in front of everyone. Her eyes lit up. It was a stunning blade, light in the hand, moving exactly like ripples of water when you swung it. She used to own a blade, but after the Yi family fell on hard times, it had to be pawned off for good. Now she had a much better weapon. She loved it so much she refused to put it down. I watched her and Xiaowan with deep affection. "As long as you two like these things, I will buy whatever catches your eye from now on." Right on the spot. Watching from the sidelines, Li Qingming was absolutely green with envy. One glance told her the sword and dagger were top-tier weapons and definitely cost a fortune. Right at that moment, she realized being my maid might not be a bad deal at all. I asked her on a whim, "Li Qingming, what kind of weapon do you prefer using? If I spot a good weapon out there, I will buy you one too." She was completely shocked and thrilled. She never even dreamed she would get a share. Blushing hard, she told me she wanted a sword. I gave a nod, then invited all 5 girls to sit down and eat together. Shawan pointed at the milk in her bowl, looking completely baffled. "Young master, what exactly is this stuff in my bowl?" Murong Shuang answered, "For me, looks like milk to me." Xiaowan was absolutely stunned and whipped her head toward us. "Sister Shuang, didn't you and the young master just get married yesterday? How on earth do you have milk this incredibly fast?" "Xiaowan, stop talking pure nonsense." Murong flushed bright red from sheer embarrassment. How could the stuff in this bowl possibly be my milk? This girl just didn't think for a single second before speaking. Holding their bowls, the 3 Li sisters were shaking as they tried to hold back their giggles, terrified to actually laugh out loud. After all, they were living under someone else's roof. They had to watch the host family's reactions carefully with every single move they made. Sitting there, I felt so completely embarrassed. I just wished the ground would open up and swallow me whole. I thought to myself, this girl eats roasted chicken every single day. How did absolutely none of it go to nourishing her tiny brain? Xiaowan was still mumbling to herself when it suddenly clicked. She snapped her head up and stared right at me. "Young master, did you visit Widow Pan on the east side of the village early this morning to get us some fresh milk? I just heard she had a little girl 2 days ago." I cut her off fast. "Xiaowan, what on earth goes on inside that head of yours? That is fresh cow milk in the bowl. I paid good money so you could all drink up. Taste it now." I picked up my bowl and took a huge gulp. This milk tasted way better than the wild vegetable soup we survived on before. A bowl of milk, a single egg, and a fluffy steamed bun with a side of tasty pickled veggies. I finished that breakfast feeling more satisfied than words could ever describe. "Xiaowan, pack your things. You are heading to the county town with me." Xiaowan's eyes lit up completely. "Young master, are we going out to buy some delicious roast chicken?" I decided to tease her. "On this trip to town, we can only afford one thing. So tell me, are we buying a red wedding dress or the roast chicken?" "Young master, you are buying me a wedding dress. I am marrying you today." "Did you somehow forget?" "I never forgot." "I definitely didn't forget," Xiaowan said, waving her hands wildly. "But if we can really only pick one thing, I would rather get the roast chicken." I was totally stunned. Just yesterday, she was crying and begging to marry me, promising to give me a chubby, beautiful baby boy. Now she was choosing roast chicken over her own wedding dress. "If we only buy the chicken, you won't have a wedding dress to wear. You do not want to marry me anymore?" "I absolutely do." Xiaowan shook her head back and forth frantically. "It is just a simple dress. Even without it, the 2 of us can still finalize our marriage the exact same way." At worst, I will borrow Sister Shuang's dress for a single night. She spun around, flashing a massive grin right at Murong Shuang. Sister Shuang, let me borrow your dress for one night. I will return it the second the young master and I are finished. Well, that request completely caught Murong Shuang off guard. After a brief second of hesitation, she finally just nodded. Fine, I will let you borrow it. After all, they were both serving the exact same man. It was really just a piece of clothing. It wasn't a huge deal. But I spoke up seriously, Xiao Wan. Sister Shuang is only lending you her dress because she genuinely treats you like a little sister. From now on, you need to show her respect and listen closely to whatever she says. Xiao Wan blinked her big clear eyes and nodded in complete seriousness. Do not worry, young master. Sister Shuang and I will serve you together. Hearing those words honestly warmed my heart. Meanwhile, the three sisters just watched us, their eyes totally full of envy. They never expected a wife and a maid to get along so perfectly. Murong Shuang mentioned walking was pretty rough today, so she was staying behind. I definitely noticed she was limping. And well, that was mostly because I put in some serious extra effort the night before. I didn't push it. We walked out the courtyard gate, heading straight for the county town to finish our business. Once the two of us left, Ling Wei stepped up. With her medical background, she carefully examined Mongo's leg. Mongo lied and claimed she sprained her ankle. Ling Wei saw right through that lie like it was broad daylight. Still, she played along and checked the ankle anyway. In the end, she advised pressing specific pressure points on the inner thigh to ease the discomfort. As for how that sprain actually happened, the two women shared a silent understanding. Neither of them said a single word. Chapter 14. 1 pill and 3,000 silver taels. Once we reached the provincial city, I did not rush to buy anything. Instead, I led Xiaowan straight back to old Xiao's house. I pulled that bottle of golden spear kidney, tonifying pills from my robe and smiled at him. Told him I brought something amazing, old Xiao. I asked if he wanted to buy a few to try. But old Xiao looked pretty skeptical. He told me, Brother Yang, I have taken so many rare and precious medicines in my life, and most did absolutely nothing. Then he warned me to stop sweet-talking him. I just smiled and said I would never dare trick someone like him. Then I offered a deal. I would give him 1 pill for free to test first. If it worked, he'd pay me 100 taels. If not, just pretend I was never here. I popped the lid, took out a pill, and handed it over. Old Xiao leaned in and gave it a deep sniff. The medicine's aromatic scent was incredibly strong, clearly crafted by a true master. Without overthinking it, he tilted his head back and swallowed the pill straight down. He asked me, Brother Yang. I swallowed it. Why don't I feel anything? Before he could even finish, he jolted upright. An indescribable surge of power rushed through his veins, making his entire body explode with wild vitality in a single heartbeat. He spun around and snapped at a maid, ordering her to take young Master Yang for some tea. Right after that, without waiting for my reply, he sprinted straight toward his concubine's bedroom, almost tripping over his own feet on the way. Watching him dash off in that absolute frenzy, Shaolin let out a laugh and asked me, Young Master, what kind of medicine did you feed him? I told her it was the kind of drug that makes a guy feel amazing. She immediately said she wanted to feel amazing too. I agreed right away. I promised her this young master would make her feel amazing tonight. Xiaowan nodded with complete innocence. After that, the maid led us both to the reception hall. 3 small plates of pastries were sitting there on the table. And in less than a minute, all of them vanished straight into Xiaowan's stomach. I asked the maid for more. She brought 3 new plates, but those disappeared in under a minute too. Sitting right beside her, I felt totally humiliated. This girl's perks were being obedient, a great fighter, and having an awesome personality. But her flaws stacked up too. She blurted out whatever came to mind, and man, she could eat. Still, I could handle all of that. These days, I was definitely not hurting for cash anyway, so no matter how much roast chicken she devoured daily, I could afford to feed her. By the time I finished a whole pot of tea, old Xiao finally swaggered back in, his face glowing bright red. The old rascal had even changed into a brand new outfit. I asked him, well, how was it? Cut straight to the point. He replied it was incredible. Absolutely mind-blowing. Then he tossed a bulging coin pouch onto my table. I weighed it in my hand. Exactly 100 taels. Then his eyes lit up. Brother Yang, how many pills are left? I told him the bottle held 30. He took one, so 29 were left. Without blinking an eye, he cut me off and demanded I sell him the entire batch. 3,000 silver taels would be a massive fortune for anyone else. But he had just experienced its effects firsthand. The results were simply incredible. Still, I was in no rush to agree. Instead, I just smiled at him. Old Xiao, my maid here is craving that roast chicken from your tavern again. Old Xiao yelled for the maid, saying that was the easiest request ever. Go to the tavern and bring back 5. But the moment those words left his mouth, he quickly changed his mind, saying 5 chickens were way too few. Bring 10. No, make it 30 chickens so I can buy this pill bottle from him. The old guy threw every ounce of dignity right out the window. The maid was about to leave when Xiaowan called out to stop her. 5 chickens is plenty. In this heat, if we don't finish them, they will definitely spoil. Hearing that, I just froze in place. Knowing Xiaowan, I honestly expected her to drag home not just 30, but 300 chickens as long as they were free. In that exact moment, I truly saw her in a brand new light. But that admiration barely lasted 3 seconds, before her next sentence completely shattered it. As for the other 25 chickens, I will grab them from the tavern myself in a few days. After that, old Xiao brought out a banknote for 2,900 taels. It was from Sihei Bank, valid in any city across Great Shin Province. I verified it was completely authentic, then handed over the porcelain bottle right away. He popped the lid, carefully counted the pills one by one, and tucked them into his robe with a massive grin. He kept pressing me to see if I had more stock. He even wanted more of that strong liquor from yesterday. I shook my head, flatly refusing it all. As things stood, I already had over 3,000 silver taels in hand, which was enough to survive for a very long time. Every single treasure I sold from my storage meant one less treasure left to rely on. I couldn't ditch them all at once. Pretty soon, they brought us 5 roast chickens wrapped in greasy paper. Xiaowan hugged them happily, ripped off a leg and shoved it toward my hand. I waved her off, told her I wasn't hungry. She carefully wrapped the legs and started devouring the rest. Only then did we finally walk out of the Xiao family gates. Leaving the Xiao estate, I took Xiaowan straight to a clothing shop. I bought 4 bright red wedding dresses right then and there, 1 for Xiaowan and 3 for the sisters. We stepped outside with the dresses and bumped right into Baijia. Wow, Yong Yun. What is a useless piece of trash like you doing buying wedding dresses? She covered her mouth, laughing. Don't tell me some girl is actually willing to marry you. Only a complete idiot would jump into a fire pit like you. Before she could even finish, Xiaowan raised her arm and chucked her half-eaten roast chicken right at Baijia's face. A direct hit. Grease splattered everywhere. She screamed at Xiaowan, how dare a lowly maid strike her betters. But before she could finish, Xiaowan closed the distance in huge strides. She grabbed Baijia's collar with her left hand. Her right hand delivered 3 lightning-fast, bone-rattling slaps. Smack, smack. You actually dare open your mouth to insult my young master, Baijia? You must have a death wish, Xiaowan snapped. I used to show you respect, but that was only because my young master actually liked you. But now my young master can't even stand the sight of your face. So why the hell should I save you any face? Baijia was slapped, dizzy, blood leaking from her mouth. Right then, Xiaowan's right hand suddenly clamped around her throat. I shouted, Xiaowan, that's enough. I barked fast to stop her. She was genuinely killing intent taking over her mind. If we were out in the isolated wilderness, I wouldn't have cared at all about stopping her. But this was a busy town street, and a circle of curious onlookers had already formed around us. If she choked someone to death here, sure, nobody could catch Xiaowan. But I'd never be able to casually shop in town again. Xiaowan looked at me, her eyes asked, kill her? I shook my head and she finally let go. Baijia collapsed, gasping violently for air. Her eyes held the pure terror of someone who had just narrowly escaped death. Amidst all this chaos, Baijia's older brother Baichong showed up with a bunch of hired muscle from their shop. He'd actually questioned the maid before coming here. He knew perfectly well his sister had started the trouble with her insults, but his plan was to pin the entire blame right on my head. He turned to the crowd, shouting, everyone here, be the judge. The Yi family collapsed ages ago. They don't even own the house they live in. Why should my sister marry into such a pathetic family? And just because she refused to marry him, Yong Yun had his maid beat her viciously in public. Today the Yi family better apologize to us, or I won't let this slide. He finished his little speech, looking completely satisfied with himself. Judging by the murmurs, most of the crowd probably bought his version of the story. But I just started clapping, slowly. Clap, clap, clap. What a dog you are, Baichong. You really are just complete scum. He screamed, Yong Yun, you dare insult me? Baichong was so furious his face literally turned green. He waved his men forward, grab him. Smash his filthy mouth. Xiaowan laughed coldly, drawing her gleaming black fox blade. She taunted them, step up then. I'd really love to see who has the guts to touch my young master. Take 1 step forward, and I'll chop off your hand. That single threat froze the Bai family muscle in their tracks. Not one of them dared to take a single step forward. They all knew this maid was a terrifying fighter, fully capable of taking down 20 or 30 men barehanded. And now she stood there gripping a deadly dagger. Who'd be stupid enough to step up and offer themselves for the slaughter? Seeing that no fight was breaking out, I spoke calm, totally unhurried by Chong. I was here buying a wedding dress. The second I walked out that door, your sister opened her mouth and started insulting me. And you come rushing over, clueless about what happened, just spitting total garbage from your mouth, shamelessly trying to dump all this filth onto my head. So tell me, calling you what you really are, is that unfair? I raised my voice, addressing the entire street. The bride I'm marrying today is Xiaowan, smart, wonderful, and truly lovable. But this guy's sister opened her mouth to say only an idiot would marry me. Is that how a decent human speaks? That comment didn't just insult me. It dragged Xiaowan into this mess too. And that is exactly why Xiaowan slapped her 3 times right here in public. If I hadn't stepped in, Xiaowan would have ended her right then. Bai Chong frowned. He believed me completely. He knew damn well Xiaowan was perfectly capable of butchering someone in broad daylight. I dropped my voice, shifting my tone. If Xiaowan actually killed your sister, obviously she couldn't stay in this town anymore. But before she leaves, she would be absolutely sick with worry about what happens to me. She'd be terrified of leaving me alone to get picked on by everyone else. So I can confidently say she'd slaughter the entire Bai family before packing her bags, every last one of you. Because I, Yong Yun, have no other enemies. If I do, it's strictly your family. Went dead pale. His mind raced, calculating the brutal fallout. If that crazy girl actually stormed the Bai estate with her blade drawn, could their handful of guards really hold the line and stop her? No, they couldn't. And even if they somehow managed it, even if they stalled her, the Bai family had zero reason to take on that kind of deadly risk. I stepped forward calmly until I was right in his face. Back in the day, the Yi family backed your Bai family hard. Now that we've fallen on tough times, you didn't just refuse to help us. You turned around and kicked us while we were down, exploiting our misery completely. And today you dared to publicly humiliate me right in the street. So tell me, who is actually to blame for this mess, your sister or me? It was a blatant threat. Bai Chong picked up on it instantly. Bai Jiao wanted to keep running her mouth, but he grabbed her arm hard, shooting her a lethal glare to shut up. He cleared his throat, totally changing his tune. Yong Yun, I admit my sister was out of line today. This whole thing is her fault. She started this mess. Let's just drop the whole thing. He grabbed his sister, turning to leave. Stop right there, I called out, my voice hard. Who gave you permission to just walk away? Bai Chong snapped back, totally annoyed. What else do you want? You messed up, so you face the consequences. I pointed right at the mangled roast chicken scattered all over the dirt. I spoke slowly, no rush at all. A minute ago, your sister's face totally ruined Xiaowan's roast chicken. You are paying that debt in full today. Bai Chong was completely cornered by that logic. He had absolutely zero comeback. But Xiaowan wasn't done yet. She shoved a finger at Bai Jia, nodding firmly. Exactly. You used your face to knock my roast chicken onto the dirt. You have to pay up. Bai Jia lost it, stomping her feet and screaming. You are talking absolute garbage. You obviously smashed that chicken right into my face. That is why it dropped. Those bones cut my face. I took 3 massive slaps from you, and now you have the nerve to extort me for money? She whipped around, begging Bai Chong. Brother, I am the eldest daughter of the noble Bai family. How can a lowly maid bully me like this? Help me beat them to death. Bai Chong shot his sister a brutal warning glare. The family had seriously spoiled this idiot rotten. Broad daylight. A packed street. And she actually had the nerve to demand someone get beaten to death in public. Not even the local magistrate would dare say something like that out loud. If you actually wanted someone dead, you at least needed a formal trial. A signed confession. You had to play the legal game. How could anyone be so insanely clueless? Bai Chong managed to keep his cool, forcing a terribly fake smile. Young Master Yi, we will pay for the chicken. But that one on the ground is mostly eaten anyway. To show my family's goodwill, I will buy you a fresh, whole roast chicken to replace it. How about that? He knew exactly when to bow down. Starting a fight right now would end terribly for him. But there was no way he was just going to swallow this bitter insult. I shook my head. 1 chicken doesn't cut it. I won't ask for much. 20 silver pieces. Hand them over. Yong Yun, don't push your luck. Bai Chong's face flushed deep red, a roast chicken eaten down to the bone. And you actually have the nerve to demand 20 silver pieces. In that split second, he genuinely wanted to slice me in half. But one glance at Xiaowan gripping her black fox dagger, her eyes radiating pure murder, that surge of rage vanished in an instant. This girl was an absolute martial arts psycho. If he actually provoked her, she would casually murder someone right here in the street. Taking my sweet time, I smiled and brought my hands together, bowing to the street crowd. You all know me, neighbors. I am Yong Yun. I would never bully a single soul. Then I turned back to Bai Chong. If 20 silver pieces is too steep for you, you don't have to pay. But this roast chicken belongs to Xiaowan. If this insult just sits and festers in her heart, and she does something totally unhinged to the Bai family, do not blame me for skipping the warning. Same old trick. Bai Chong wasn't stupid. He instantly knew I was using Xiaowan to terrify him again. Second time today, actually. He absolutely hated it. But when push came to shove, he just couldn't risk it. 20 silver taels was absolute chump change. The Bai family could easily afford it. Bai Chong reached for his waist and completely froze. The bulging money pouch holding exactly 50 taels vanished without a single trace. I just stood to the side, smiling quietly. Bai Chong spun around in total hysterics, begging everyone to hurry up and find his missing money. He screamed at the workers to retrace their steps back to the silk shop. They tore the entire place apart, but they couldn't find a single trace of that missing pouch. Left with absolutely no other choice, he dragged himself back inside to grab another 20 taels, shoving the silver extremely hard right into my hands. Catching the smug looks on my face and Xiao Wan's, Bai Chong practically ground his teeth to dust. He swore right then he would get payback for today's humiliation, sooner or later. Every single penny plus interest. Young master, you are seriously amazing. Xiao Wan cheered the entire way home. She gripped the 20 taels tight, skipping along happily. The roast chicken is already in my belly, she bragged, and we still got paid for it. Now we can buy so much more delicious roast chicken. In Qingfeng County, 1 copper coin buys a steamed bun. A whole roast chicken costs 50 coppers and 1 silver tael easily trades for 1,000 copper coins. Xiaowan could not do the math on exactly how many chickens 20 taels bought, but deep down she knew one thing for sure. It was an absolute mountain of food. Seeing her so incredibly happy, I smiled at her. Xiaowan, when night falls, your young master is taking you somewhere. I will show you something truly mind-blowing. Xiaowan blinked her big clear eyes at me. Then she gave a firm, confident nod. I only pieced together what happened next, long after the fact. Without hindsight, I never would have seen the whole chain of events this clearly. Meanwhile, the second Bai Chong got back to the silk shop, Bai Jia completely lost it. Big brother, she yelled. I took 3 heavy slaps from that little brat, for absolutely nothing. Why didn't you have the workers beat them to death? Bai Chong rubbed his temples and sighed. You fool, he muttered. Forget about the 6 workers we have here. Even if you and I joined in and jumped her together, we still would not stand a chance against that brat. Then he dropped his voice to a whisper. But do not worry. You are not swallowing today's insult for nothing. Your big brother will absolutely get revenge for you. I promise. Bai Jia's eyes darted around the room as an idea hit her. Big brother, she said, that little brat is seriously terrifying. Sure. But there are plenty of people in this world way scarier than her. Let's just spend some cash and hire an assassin to wipe out Yong Yun and his brat together. Wouldn't that solve everything? Bai Chong gave a slow nod. It could actually work. He knew a few martial arts moves himself, enough to handle a couple of ordinary guys. But against Xian's raw power, all he could do was drop to his knees and beg. His family did employ about 10 guards. Yet using their own men for a hit job ran a massive risk of leaking the secret. Dragging the whole Bai family into this mess would be an absolute disaster. Far better to burn some cash on a reliable assassin. Someone who could finish the job fast, clean, and permanently. Sister, I have a buddy connected to the 10 Yama assassins. Bai Chong said this with a vicious, dark spark in his eyes. Those 10 killers do not know the meaning of mercy. Sending them to handle this mess is absolutely the safest bet. It is just a 2-target hit. And Yong Yun is useless trash who cannot even throw a punch. Do we really need to hire 10 pros? Listen, when you make a move, you have to be careful. That little brat's skills are crazy good. Totally unpredictable. 1 or 2 basic hitmen might not actually drop her. Bai Chong shook his head, burning a bit of extra cash. Really is not a big deal. What matters is keeping this hit completely leak-proof. He ran the numbers in his head. Hiring the 10 Yama assassins would cost at least 3,000 taels. Bai Jia gritted her teeth and completely emptied out her personal stash. She even fenced off some jewelry she barely wore, barely scraping together 2,000 taels. Bai Chong would have to cover the final 1,000 himself. Right at the end, Bai Jia added a final request. Big brother, ask the killers to drag them back here half dead. I want to land a few solid kicks myself. I absolutely need to get my hands dirty and make them pay. Bai Chong frantically waved her off. Hiring an assassin is a literal beheading offense. How on earth could we drag living targets into our own home? Snuffing them out on the spot is the only way to keep the Bai family completely clear. Extremely reluctantly, Bai Jia nodded. Bai Chong pocketed the silver and headed straight for the home of his gambling buddy Ma Xiao. He met Ma Xiao across a betting table. The two of them were actually pretty tight. They even ran rigged games together, robbing naive fools completely blind. Ma Xiao, back when we were drinking, you said you knew the 10 Yama assassins. Ma Xiao thumped his chest hard. Are you really asking if I know them? I do way more than just know them. I have poured drinks with those guys. You want to track them down, brother Bai? Say less. Consider it totally handled. Consider it done. Hiring them to take out 2 targets, how much silver are we talking? The 10 Slaughters Yama crew never works cheap. Taking down 2 people runs at least 4,000 taels. Then Mao shifted his tone. But brother, I also know the 7s of Guangnan. They are on the assassin rankings too. They charge less than Yama, and their reputation is way better. After a hit, they scrub the scene spotless. Zero traces left behind to point back to the client. And it totally does not matter if your female target is some martial arts master. 3 of those ghosts are heavy poison experts. They can drop a mark from pretty far away, without a single person noticing a thing. Pong perked up at that. How much to hire the 7 ghosts of Guangnan? For a regular guy, at least 3,000 taels. Mao smiled with narrow eyes, but considering our bond, I will slash the price. 1,000 taels works perfectly. Bai Chong slammed down 1,000 taels instantly. Deal. Just make sure this gets handled flawlessly. There cannot be a single thread connecting me to this hit. Ma Sha Mao weighed the silver, promising to execute every detail perfectly. The absolute second Pong left, Mao pocketed the cash and sprinted off, absolutely thrilled to track down his sworn brother Lu Xiao, because the truth was he did not know the 7 ghosts of Guangnan at all. It was all pure garbage to hustle Bai Chong. Bursting into Lu Xiao's place, Ma Sha Mao did not waste a single breath on small talk. Xiao, did you not mention your cousin knows the 7 ghosts of Guangnan? Introduce me right now. I need 2 people dead. Lu Xiao looked incredibly panicked. Brother Ma, honestly, it is not that I refuse to help. But my cousin got into a really nasty dispute with those ghosts recently. Those 7 scumbags have 0 morals. They used my cousin all night long, then refused to pay her a single dime. She suffered horribly. She is fully reformed now. Married an honest guy. No matter what, she refuses to ever touch that dirty business again. His eyes darted around the room, but do not panic. I know the 3 new brothers. Handing them the job will work out just fine. The 3rd new brother throws a deadly knife. He can snuff out a life from 100 paces with terrifying absolute precision. Mao was barely sold on this. Then it hit him. He was already sitting on 800 taels of Bai Chong's cash. Every single coin he saved meant more profit. So he lowballed. What is the rate for the 3 new brothers to handle 2 bodies? Lu Xiao held up 5 fingers. 500 taels is just insane. I am giving you 300 max. Move fast and get your guys on it. Ma Sha Mao slammed 3 silver ingots onto the table. Lu Xiao froze, totally speechless. Those 5 fingers actually meant 50 taels would be more than enough to buy the 3 new brothers. And yet here's Mao, randomly dropping 300 taels. This extra 250 taels falling straight from the sky made his chest explode with joy. He almost threw his head back and howled with laughter. Brother Ma, hold on a second. I will fetch your guys right now. Lu Xiao pocketed the silver, his eyes absolutely gleaming with sheer joy. And so, over there, a pack of petty grifters were busy backstabbing each other for tiny profit margins. Meanwhile, on my end, I had absolutely 0 clue that I was already on someone's hit list. Right around dusk in Yong village, I paraded Xiaowan from door to door, handing out wedding candy and telling every single person we bumped into that today I am marrying another wife. And Xiaowan was screaming loudly for the whole village to hear. The girl our young master is marrying is me. Starting now, I am Xiaowan, the young master's wife. I am going to give him a beautifully chubby, perfectly healthy baby boy. Meanwhile, the 3 sisters had already prepped the massive wedding feast. After dinner, Xiaowan slipped into her vivid red wedding dress. She performed the traditional bows right in front of Murong Shuang and the rest of the girls. We bowed to each other, and then they escorted her straight to our chamber. I scooped Xiaowan up lightly and carried her straight into the bridal suite I had prepped. The absolute second we crossed the threshold, her patience vanished. She reached up and yanked off the red veil herself. Smiling, I spun around and pushed the door almost completely shut. Left it unlocked, though. Murong Shuang and the girls definitely were not the type to peek. And hey, even if they did, that would honestly just spice things up a bit for me. Young master, why are you just standing there frozen? Let us hurry up and drink our mutual wedding wine. Xiaowan was rushing me hard. I was somewhat surprised. Xiaowan, how exactly do you know that making this official requires the mutual wine? She giggled softly, young master. Last night when you sealed the deal with Sister Shuang, I was crouching right under the window, watching the entire show. Only then did it finally click. So this girl had a seriously weird habit of lurking under windowsills. Man, if I knew she was out there taking notes, I would have cranked my performance up to 120%. Was it a fun watch? I joked. Xiaowan nodded first, then shook her head. There really was not anything worth watching out there. My whole body was just burning up right then. She almost said something, but ended up swallowing the words instead. She completely refused to go any further. I never pushed her. We just happily shared our wedding wine after that. The moment she put her cup down, Xiaowan started taking off her own clothes. In a flash, she was standing right in front of me, completely bare. She even stepped up and started helping me undress. My heart skipped a beat. I really did not expect this simple girl to hide such a perfect figure. After a wild round of passion, a familiar voice chimed in my head. System rewards were back. Congratulations to the host on marrying Xiaowan. First reward, a body completely invulnerable to blades and spears. Ordinary weapons and swords cannot harm the host at all. Even a holy weapon hitting a vital spot won't kill you unless the host takes continuous, repeated strikes to that exact same spot. Next was a copy of the Wind-Chasing Steps movement manual. Plus one loyalty card you could use on absolutely anyone. Whoever you use it on becomes 100% loyal. You also get 100 wind-proof lighters, 10,000 roast chickens, 100 tons each of rice and flour, and 1,000 pistol bullets, all sent straight to storage. Please check them at your leisure. Lying there beside Xiaowan, my heart was absolutely pounding with excitement. The loot this time was way more generous than before. This invincible body was my ultimate trump card for survival. The system made the rules pretty simple and clear. Even a holy or deadly weapon to the head or chest would not kill me, unless someone literally grabbed my heart and stabbed it repeatedly. If I got sloppy and took a heavy hit, I would still have time to pull a pistol from storage and blast back. With this kind of crazy protection in my gun, I could basically walk around the Great Qin Empire like I owned the place. Not to mention, I now had the wind-chasing steps technique. Once mastered, I would move just like a ghost. Pair that with an invincible body, and who could even touch me? But the loyalty card was the real prize. Imagine using it on the Empress of Great Qin herself. I honestly couldn't stop myself from laughing out loud. Young master, what's so funny? Just how beautiful you are. I am just happy. Xiaowan wants more. Chapter 20, Survivors in the Forest. 3 rounds later, Xiaowan finally fell into a deep, satisfied sleep. I, on the other hand, was not feeling tired in the slightest. I quickly threw on my robe and strolled out toward the courtyard gates. Ever since I swallowed that marrow-cleansing pill, my body felt so much lighter. My hearing and vision were incredibly sharp now, too. Even in the dead of night, I could still see things 30 paces away, as clearly as if it were broad daylight. With night vision like this, I wouldn't even need a lantern anymore. Seeing no one around, I pulled the Wind-Chasing Steps manual from my storage and flipped through the pages. The manual was quite short. By the time an incense stick could burn down, I had memorized all the moves and started practicing right there at the gate. After one more incense stick, I had already unlocked basic mastery. Channeling my internal energy, the speed was genuinely terrifying. A normal person needs 2 full hours to walk from Yun village to the county town. But now I could get there in the time it takes a single incense stick to burn. When things go south, this move will absolutely save my life. After finishing the footwork, I ran through a set of mountain-suppressing fists. My whole body felt incredibly alive. I strolled over to the village pond, stripped down, and jumped in for a refreshing swim. I even grabbed a really fat carp on my way out. I was just soaking there, feeling totally relaxed, when 2 dark figures crept in from the village edge. One of them stopped, pointed toward the water, and whispered in confusion, "I hear water moving over there." The other guy kept his voice low. "It is just a fish pond. Probably some big fish laying eggs. Let's go check, maybe we can catch one." "Are you crazy? We are here to kill someone, not fish." They whispered, but I picked up absolutely every word. Sneaking into Yun village for a midnight assassination. I had a pretty good idea what was going down right away. I slipped out of the water silently and tailed them from afar. I heard them stop right outside a specific door. "See that? This is the target. 1 guy and 2 women live inside. Both women know martial arts. Drop them first when we enter, then handle the guy. I will keep watch." Afterward, we drag the bodies out and bury them. So that was it. I scoffed to myself, targeting my place. I triggered the swift wind-chasing steps skill. In a flash, I was right behind the lookout like a ghost. I raised my hand and chopped the back of his neck with everything I had. He hit the ground with a heavy thud. Up ahead, the knife thrower heard it and instantly spun around. Seeing his fallen partner, he screamed right at me, "Who the hell are you?" Before finishing his sentence, he flicked his wrist and launched a throwing knife straight at my face. I barely even bothered trying to dodge. I simply raised my right hand, letting the knife strike my bare palm head-on. A sharp metallic ring echoed. The blade dropped instantly. The blade's tip actually bent from the sheer impact. I opened scratches. A rush of pure joy washed over me. This invulnerable body of mine is seriously handy. Seeing his blade do absolutely 0 damage, the knife thrower went completely pale. He tossed another knife, spun around, and bolted. I caught up in 3 huge strides and slammed a brutal punch into his left shoulder. He shrieked in pain and hit the ground. I stepped up and delivered a swift neck chop, knocking him completely unconscious too. All the villagers around us were still dead asleep. I wasn't about to let his screaming wake the whole neighborhood. Grabbing an unconscious man in each hand, I prepared to find a quiet interrogation spot. Right then, the wooden courtyard door creaked open. Xianwan rushed outside with a cloak thrown over her shoulders. Murong Shuang was right behind her. Then Li Qing reached the door fully dressed, asking young master, "Who are these 2? Half asleep, Xianwan had clearly heard the commotion. Finding my side of the bed completely empty, she hurried outside to check. "No idea, but they came here to kill us." Probably hired muscle. Xianwan scratched her head, completely confused. Who has the guts to hire assassins against us? Shuang scoffed coldly and said, who else? It's definitely the Bai family. Earlier today, right after getting home, Xianwan told Shuang everything about slapping Bai Jia 3 times in the middle of the street and snatching 20 silver pieces from her. No need to overthink it. These killers were absolutely sent by the Bai family for revenge. A murderous look flashed across Xianwan's face. She spat, young master, that wretched Bai Jia really dared to send killers after you. I'll slaughter her entire family right now. I grabbed her firmly to stop her. Hold on a second. Let's make these 2 survivors talk first. Handing the grass carp I caught to Li Qingning, I mentioned I just snagged this from the pond. Keep it for tomorrow's meal. You can all head back to sleep now. I'll drag these 2 out to the woods outside the village, ask a few simple questions, and come right back. Shan insisted on tagging along, so I nodded in agreement. As we left, Shuang reminded me, dear husband, once you force the truth out of them and confirm it really is the Bai family, let's take our time and plan the absolute perfect revenge. Don't let Xianwan just rush into the county town and do something totally reckless. Chuckling lightly, I agreed right away. Then, Xianwan and I dragged 1 guy each straight into the dark woods outside the village. Once we finally reached the forest, I harshly tossed the 2 unconscious men onto the dirt. Right in front of Xianwan, I calmly unbuckled my belt and pissed on them. It didn't take long for both guys to wake up, totally groggy and dazed. Wiping his face, the lookout muttered in absolute confusion, is it raining? And why is this rain so warm? Before he could even finish, the harsh stench hit his nose. He was about to start cursing when I kicked him hard. Start talking right now. Who the hell are you? And why try to kill me in the dead of night? Glaring fiercely, the guy shot a quick look at Xianwan beside me and stubbornly stiffened his neck. Hack me to pieces, but I'll never sell out my friend. I sneered. Serious nerve. Let's hope you stay this tough a minute from now. Reaching my hand out toward Xianwan, I demanded, give me your dagger. Xianwan drew the black fox blade and quietly placed it in my hand. And so an interrogation that could make you laugh and cry began in the quiet, night-shrouded Qingyun village. By now, Lu Xin's had fully regained his senses. Sitting on the dirt, his face showed absolute confusion. That first throwing knife had struck my bare palm with massive force, yet I didn't suffer a single scratch at all. His brain simply couldn't process this fact. Even if it killed him, he couldn't fathom a man in this world totally immune to blades. Aiming the dagger straight at Makia, I warned, I will ask you one last time. Who exactly are you guys? And why come here in the pitch-black night to kill me? While tracking these 2 earlier, I heard absolutely everything. The knife thrower was just a regular foot soldier taking orders and carrying them out. The one really calling the shots was this boss. If I wanted real answers, I had to start at the top. Mao stiffened his neck, replying tough as nails, you really think a pathetic little knife like that scares me? I am Mao, and I don't scare easily. You might as well give up. I'm not telling you anything. He talked tough, but inside he was completely terrified I would actually plunge the blade into him. The real reason he clung to this silence was because he already had his own plan prepared. He figured the ruined Yi family could never take down the Bai family, and if he sold out Bai Chong first, that eldest Bai young master would hunt him down the second the dust settled. So the best move was letting Niu Laosan talk first. He exposed that middleman Lu Xiao right away, stalling for time. The messier this got, the higher the chance Bai Chong would intervene. Before I could even react, Xiaowan burst out laughing beside me. You massive idiot, even dumber than me. You just screamed your own name out loud. Ma Xiao slapped his forehead. It was totally true. He had panicked earlier and shouted his name, but then again they already knew him anyway. So what? Not a big deal anyway. I turned to Niu Laosan with a smile. Your friend refuses to talk, so I guess you will just suffer in his place. The words barely left my mouth before my blade slammed down, slashing deep into Niu Laosan's hand. My hand! He squealed like a dying pig. Shrinking back, Ma Xiao heard that shriek and trembled, silently thanking his lucky stars. How much would that hurt if the blade hit my hand? Meanwhile, Niu Laosan felt so wronged his eyes turned bloodshot. He snarled right at me. You are interrogating him. He is the one refusing to talk. So what gives you the right to stab me? That question left even Xiaowan stunned. She tilted her head toward me, thinking to herself. Did all those exhausting nights totally ruin the young master's eyesight, making him mix them up? Hey, do not get so worked up, I told Niu Laosan with a gentle smile. I will give you one chance right now. Who are you? And who sent you to kill me? Hearing it was finally his turn, Niu Laosan instantly perked up. He jerked his head to the side and declared boldly, Kill me, but I will never betray my boss. He yelled it loud, but inside he was screaming in pure desperation. I did not and go slice Ma Xiao. I kept that exact same smile. Asking you again, what is your name? Who sent you? Niu Laosan just stole Ma Xiao's line and screamed it back. Think a tiny knife scares me? I do not scare easily. Ask away. I will never talk. Xiaowan cracked up laughing again. You are a huge idiot too, shouting your name again. Niu Laosan raised his good hand and smacked his own forehead hard. I slowly pointed the dagger toward Ma Xiao. Since your buddy refuses to speak, it is your turn. Before I could even finish, Ma Xiao rushed to confess. His name is Niu Laosan. Lu Xiao from the Lu family village paid 30 taels to hire him to kill you. Niu Laosan exploded with rage, pointing at him and cursing, you little Ma family bastard. Who asked you to answer for me? You are a completely worthless piece of trash. He felt unbelievably frustrated. He kept his mouth shut. Just so Ma Xiao would take a stab too. It would make things fair. Then this death-fearing coward stepped in and confessed instead. Ma Xiao wiped his cold sweat, silently counting his lucky stars all over again. Good thing I reacted fast, or that blade would have definitely ended up in my body. But Niu Laosan was not ready to let this go. He turned and begged me. Sir, could you please interrogate me a little longer? I laughed out loud. Fine, I will do you a favor since Lu Xiao put you up to this. So do you know who hired Lu Xiao? Niu Laosan grinned widely. I know who it is, but I am never telling you. Sir, come on, hurry up and stab him. The second I pointed the dagger at Ma Xiao again. I was the one who found Lu Xiao. Ma Xiao screamed out first again. I gave him 200 taels to hire Niu Laosan. You little bastard. You are dead. Niu Laosan flicked his sleeve, launching a throwing knife right at Ma Xiao. Terrified, Ma Xiao tried to dodge, but his legs turned to jelly. He could not move an inch. I lunged forward, grabbed Niu Laosan's wrist, and snatched the blade. I could not let Ma Xiao die here. I had zero intention of letting Xiaowan storm the city and slaughter the entire Bai family. That would bring certain disaster. I wanted to expose this case at the county court and have a public trial right there. And Ma Xiao was the most critical witness of all. He sprawled flat on the ground, gasping for air. In that split second, he genuinely believed he was a dead man. He never expected me to be the one saving him. Escaping certain death truly tasted sweet. Shame his pants were completely soaked, though. Ma Xiao, I said, locking my eyes on him. Who hired you to kill me? It was Bai Chong. This time he did not dare hide a single thing. He knew perfectly well I had already guessed Bai Chong was behind this. I only kept interrogating them over and over just to mess with their heads. All because your servant slapped Bai Jia across the face 3 times in the city this morning. Xiaowan interrupted instantly. I am the young master's wife now. Ma Xiao did not dare provoke her. He quickly forced a flattering smile. This lowly servant misspoke. Please forgive me, my lady. Xiaowan crossed her arms and lifted her chin proudly. I am a hero who always defends justice. My heart is big enough to ignore trash like you. Only then did Ma Xiaomao finish his sentence. Bai Chong felt the Bai family completely lost face today. That is why he came to me demanding I hire professional killers to wipe out every last one of you. Young Master Yi, that Bai Chong is truly ruthless. If I refused his orders, he absolutely would have killed me on the spot. I really had no choice. He forced my hand. Please spare my life, young Master Yi. I will give you 300 taels. I just laughed. Think I care about your 300 taels? He shrieked in terror. Fine, 500. I was completely done wasting time on him. I looked at Xiaowan beside me. Tell me, what do you think about the Bai family silk shop? Young master, I absolutely cannot stand that family. Xiaowan tilted her head thoughtfully. But the silk they sell in their store is genuinely gorgeous. She looked completely lost. We were literally right in the middle of interrogating these guys. Why was the young master suddenly asking about a silk shop? I smiled faintly. The funny part is, their silk is exactly what caught my eye, too. Deep down, my mind was entirely made up. That silk shop was going to belong to me alone. I glared at Ma Xiaomao and Niu Laosan groveling in the dirt. You two, do you actually want to live or die? They screamed instantly. Live. We want to live. Ma Xiaomao scrambled up first. Young Master Yi. I will do anything you ask me to. Niu Laosan frantically nodded along right beside him. Young Master Yi. I was completely wrong before. I never should have thrown that knife at you. You can stab me later as payback. Do whatever you want to me. Just do not kill me. I answered back once we hit the county court. If you tell the exact truth, I guarantee you live. They nodded violently like they were pounding garlic, swearing over and over again. Every word we say in court will be the absolute truth. We will name Bai Chong without any hesitation. Then I marched the two back to our village and dragged the village chief straight out of his warm bed. I just told him 2 hired killers tried to murder me tonight. The moment the chief heard that, he scrambled for some ropes, hogging Ma Xiaomao and Niu Laosan extremely tight. He swore that at first light, he would escort them straight to the Qingfeng County Court. But I could not rest yet. Thanks to Ma Xiaomao's confession, I already had Lu Xiao's exact address in the Lu family village. This Lu Xiao guy was another critical witness in the case. Plus, he was carrying well over 100 silver taels on him. I refused to let him slip away. Using the dark night as cover, Xiaowan and I rushed straight toward the Lu family village. Hitting the eastern edge of the village, I spotted two shadowy figures creeping along in the distance. Brother, why do we not just wait for sunrise to leave? The voice belonged to a woman. You naive little girl, the man whispered back. Ma Xiaomao took Niu Lao-san to murder a guy tonight. If it goes south, they will drag me down with them. With all the silver we have now, we can easily move somewhere else and relax for the rest of our lives. Lu Xiao was practically glowing tonight. He had easily bagged 170 taels, meaning he would never have to suffer through grinding poverty again. He would find some unknown town, marry a wife, and buy 3 concubines on top of that. Just imagining that total luxury gave him an insane rush. And even if he blew through all this silver, no problem. He could always just sell his little sister Lu Xiaojing for extra cash later. Brother, we are walking right past that old bachelor's house. He still owes me 2 handfuls of millet, Lu Xiaojing grumbled. Why not just kick his door in, snatch the grain and run? You stupid girl, Lu Xiao sighed, honestly torn between laughing and crying. How much millet do you really think we could buy with all this silver weighing down our pockets right now? All that matters right now is getting out of here fast. If anyone spots us leaving, we are totally dead. I stepped right out of the shadows, Xiaowan close behind me. Listen, you two are coming with me. Lu Xiao jumped backward, shouting loud to mask his sheer panic. Who goes there? Why are you blocking the road at midnight? Are you robbers? Let me tell you something. I am a local here. One shout and over 100 angry villagers will swarm out. You better back off now before they beat you to death. I smiled calmly. You might not know me, but I Lu Xiao, right? He panicked. You got the wrong guy. He waved his hands frantically. I am Lu Xiao Wu. Lu Xiao is just my neighbor. He lives over on the western edge of the village. You can go look for him there. Xiaowan finally lost her patience and snapped Lu Xiao. Stop this ridiculous act. Ma Xiaomao and Niu Lao-san were already captured by my young master tonight. All the strength instantly vanished from Lu Yao's legs, and he collapsed hard into the dirt. Niu Lao-san had god-tier knife-throwing skills. How in the world was he captured so incredibly easily? His mind was spinning in absolute chaos. He struggled to his feet, trembling like a leaf. Sir, I was only following Ma Xiaomao's orders. He was the one desperate to hire those professional killers. I had absolutely nothing to do with any of this mess. Please, just let me walk away. Still rambling, he aggressively shoved his sister Lu Xiaojing forward. Boss, this is my little sister, a pure untouched virgin. Just let me go and she is all yours. She honestly knows exactly how to please a man. Lu Xiaojing blushed bright red, gave a flirty little nod, and whispered, Sir, just say the word, and this pathetic girl is ready to do anything. But before she could even finish, Xiaowan lunged forward a few steps and spat. You shameless tramp. You think you are fit to serve my young master? She raised her hand and delivered a massive slap. That slap packed some serious power. Lu Xiao spun around 3 times right where she stood, then hit the floor with a heavy thud. Look at how utterly cheap you act trying to seduce my young master. Xiaowan put her hands on her hips and cursed. Throw one more cheap look at my young master, and I will literally beat you to death. Then she turned to me and said, Young master, I knew from the very first glance that this woman was bad news. She reeks just like the women from the Yichui brothel in town. That sly fox scent is completely all over her. I almost burst out laughing but barely held it in. I gave Xiaowan a slight nod, making my face show she was absolutely right. Hiding my smile, I told her, Lu Xiao, I will not be hard on you or your sister. Just one condition, you both have to follow my exact orders. Tomorrow I am filing a formal complaint at the county court, and you two will be the witnesses. Ma Xiaomao and Niu Lao-san are already in my hands. So you are coming with me. We will do whatever you order. My sister and I will do exactly as you say. Lu Xiao was shaking like a leaf. The next morning, right at the crack of dawn, Xiao and I marched the whole group straight to the gates of the Qingfeng County Government Office. I grabbed the drumstick and struck hard, boom, 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 smashing that grievance drum. The guards dragged us straight inside. In just a few brief words, I laid out exactly what went down the night before. After Judge Li Wei heard the whole story, he had the guards throw Ma Xiaomao and the other 3 into separate cells. Then he sent his men to summon Bai Chong. Secretly, Judge Li Wei was absolutely thrilled, the eldest young master of the Bai family hiring assassins. Finally, a juicy case that would let him squeeze out a very handsome pile of cash. His absolute favorite cases were exactly like this one. A filthy rich young master dragging himself into massive trouble. It was not long before Bai Chong was dragged into the court. The moment he looked up and spotted me standing right there, he threw himself straight to the floor in front of Judge Li Wei and yelled, Your Honor, I beg you to look at the facts. Ma Xiaomao and I are just regular friends. My family has always strictly obeyed the law. I never asked him to hire the 7 ghosts of Guangnan to assassinate Yong Yun. Standing on the sidelines, I just burst into laughter. The trial had not even started yet, and this total idiot just confessed to everything himself. With a brain that dense, he somehow dared to hire assassins. Even funnier, this massive fool probably still does not realize that Ma Xiaomao never brought the 7 ghosts of Guangnan. He brought a scruffy, bearded lowlife named Niu Laosan. Li Wei looked at him with dead calm and asked, "When I had you brought here, did I ever mention what case we were judging?" Bai Chong froze, his face turning pale as a corpse. Damn it, he had been so completely panicked that he blurted out every single secret. "Your Honor, my mind was totally scrambled just now. I was spouting nonsense." He desperately tried to backtrack. "As you know, I have always known and obeyed the law. May I ask, Your Honor, exactly what matter you called me in for?" He wanted to slap his own mouth. If only he knew better. He really should have kept his mouth shut the second he walked in. Instead, he handed them a totally unprompted confession without them even trying. Right now, all he could hope for was his father rushing to settle things with Boss Xiao and bailing him out soon. Judge Li Wei let out a cold scoff and snapped Bai Chong. "You know exactly what you did. Since you refuse to admit it, I will force your confession and clear your mind." He slammed his gavel and shouted, "Bring out Niu Laosan." Soon enough, Niu Laosan was dragged into the room. "Last night at high hour, where were you and with who? Tell the exact truth. Speak one lie, and you will only have yourself to blame when the torture starts." Niu Laosan dropped to his knees, and to his credit, spoke with perfect clarity. "I report to your honor. Last night during high hour, Ma Xiaomao brought me over to Yun village. He pointed straight at Yong Yun's house, telling me to go inside and slaughter him along with the 2 women. Lu Xiao from the Lu family village hired me with 30 taels up front, promising 20 more once it was done. On the way, Ma Xiaomao promised another 50 after the kill." Niu Laosan confessed so effortlessly. After all, nobody actually died. At worst, he would just do some hard labor for a few years before reuniting with his brothers. No reason to take the fall for anyone else. Once the confession was fully written out, he stamped his fingerprint on it. Off to the side, Bai Chong cursed Ma Xiaomao's ancestors straight back to the 18th generation. "You absolute trash, Mao. You blew 100 taels on a pathetic third-rate killer, then had the nerve to charge me a full 1,000 taels. The second you step out of this courtroom, I am absolutely breaking your leg. Bring Lu Xiao in." Dragged straight into the courtroom, he dropped to his knees instantly, shaking his head like a madman. He swore to the judge he had absolutely no grudge against young Master Yong Yun. Ma Xiaomao forced him to find those assassins. That bastard had been bullying him for ages and even assaulted his little sister. He begged the judge to bring his sister in to confront him right there. The siblings had already perfectly rehearsed their entire story the night before. If they got caught running away, they would pin the whole thing on Ma Xiaomao. Then came Lu Xiaojing. The second she stepped into that courtroom, she completely broke down in heavy tears. She cried to the judge yesterday evening. She was borrowing grain from the village elder, and her brother suddenly called her home. He told her Ma Xiaomao had arrived, threatening to beat them to death if she didn't entertain him. Then Ma Xiaomao shoved her onto the bed. She begged for justice, claiming that vicious Ma Xiaomao brutally ruined her pure and innocent body. Xiaowen rolled her eyes hard and muttered to herself. She said he and Ma Xiaomao were exactly the same kind of trash. I quickly yanked her sleeve and shot her a sharp warning glare. We were in an official courtroom. She couldn't just blurt out those harsh truths in public. Li Wei hammered them on a few more minor details. Once the entire confession was written out, the siblings stamped their fingerprints on it. While the trial heated up, Bai Dashan suddenly showed up at Mr. Xiao's door. He pleaded, "Mr. Xiao, your son-in-law's men just hauled my son Bai Chong to the county court." Bai Dashan was so incredibly anxious, he just kept wringing his hands together. "The Bai and Xiao families go way back. You absolutely have to help me out this time." Mr. Xiao slowly stroked his beard. He noted his son-in-law never arrested people. Without good reason did Bai Chong stir up some kind of trouble. He explained that yesterday, that little punk Yong Yun had his maid beat his daughter in the street, and even threatened to slaughter the entire Bai family. His son just couldn't swallow that insult, so he hired someone to teach the guy a lesson. As he spoke, he reached into his robe, pulled out a 1,000-tael banknote, and slid it onto the table. Mr. Xiao glanced at the cash and smirked. He asked if Bai Chong really only meant to teach him a simple lesson. He swore Bai Chong only wanted to rough him up. Nothing more. But if the hired thug went too far and accidentally killed the guy, his son couldn't take the blame for that. Mr. Xiao flashed a cold, dead smile, then called out to Mr. Bai. Getting his son-in-law to drop the charges only took a single word from him, but 1,000 taels felt pretty light. The father quickly replied that as long as his boy came home safe, money meant nothing. 3,000 taels, Bai Dashan offered through gritted teeth. This was his only child. There was absolutely no way he would let his son be buried early. Mr. Xiao slowly shook his head. It would cost him at least 5,000. Just over the last 2 days, he had spent 4,000 taels buying luxury liquor and 30 golden vitality pills. Those items were definitely fancy, but left a nasty dent in his wallet. The Bai family needed him for a murder cover-up. If he didn't bleed them dry right now, when would he? Bai Dashan cursed Mr. Xiao over and over in his head, but out loud he just had to agree. Fine. 5,000 taels, without missing a single coin. Mr. Xiao pocketed the 1,000-tael deposit and hurried to the county court. Meanwhile, back in the courtroom, Li Wei had just ordered Ma Xiaomao inside. The absolute second Ma Xiaomao locked eyes with Bai Chong, all his lost confidence came rushing back. He figured the Bai family's eldest young master would never just let him die. Then the judge demanded, "Prisoner Ma Xiaomao, do you know your crime?" He played totally dumb, claiming he had zero clue what crimes they were even talking about. Backed by the Bai family's wealth, he decided to completely walk back his confession. He just had to lie. Hiring assassins meant exile at best and a clean beheading at worst. Li Wei slammed his heavy gavel down. Li Wei roared that he paid 200 taels for Yao Lao's son, heading to Yun village to murder Yong Yun and his 2 women. With ironclad witnesses and evidence in their hands, the judge demanded how he could possibly still argue. He admitted paying for the introduction, but swore he didn't go to Yun village to kill anyone. He just wanted to teach Yong Yun a little lesson. Murder never even crossed his mind. The judge snapped back. What exactly was his massive grudge against Yong Yun? Did someone else pull the strings behind the scenes? He claimed he acted alone after seeing Yong Yun bullying Miss Bai Jia. He confessed his huge crush on her, claiming blind rage drove him to teach the guy a harsh lesson. Then a massive crash. Li Wei brutally smashed his gavel down and roared like thunder. Since Ma Xiaomao refused to speak the truth, he wouldn't show a single ounce of mercy. Men, 30 lashes with the heavy wooden plank. 2 guards brought a long bench and 2 approached wielding fire and water sticks. Despite screaming his innocence, Ma Xiaomao was hoisted up and pinned hard against the bench. A sharp crack echoed. The first blow landed brutally. Then his agonized screams rang out one after another. "Your Honor, stop hitting me. Everything I said is the truth. Young Master Bai, save me." He was standing right there. Bai Chong cursed inwardly. "Useless idiot. Why call me out at a time like this? You better keep your mouth shut tight. Don't you dare betray me, kid. Losing your life is no big deal. But your old mother and sister, I will take care of them all." After the 30 lashes finished, Ma Xiaomao's back was a completely shredded, bloody mess. "Are you confessing or not?" Li Wei asked. He replied that he just confessed to the magistrate. "I never sent you Laos to kill anyone." "Stubborn fool." Li Wei scoffed, calling for the finger crushers. Hearing the words finger crushers, Ma Xiaomao's soul nearly left his body. A few hits to the back. With proper care, he wouldn't die from that. But once the finger crushers came out, his bones would be entirely shattered. He turned and begged desperately, "Young Master Bai, please put in a good word." Bai Chong answered slowly, "Ma Xiaomao, you found them, so you take the blame. For the sake of our friendship, I'll take excellent care of your mother and sister." When those words came out, Ma Xiaomao felt tossed into an ice pit. Bai Chong wanted him taking the fall alone. Hiring killers guarantees a death sentence. He worked so hard for those 800 taels, and right now he had zero desire to die. Regret tore his guts apart. "If I knew, I'd have taken the 1,000 taels and run from Qingfeng County. Then I wouldn't be in this miserable mess. But this world offers no cure for regret. Since he would die either way, let everyone die together then." "Your Honor," Ma Xiaomao hissed through his teeth. "Everything I said before was a lie." Li Wei raised his hand, signaling the guards back. Bai Chong panicked and quickly threatened him. "Ma Xiaomao, think about the consequences before you speak." But inside he was screaming, "Dad, hurry up. If you don't come soon, your son is finished." Li Wei suddenly faced Bai Chong. "Who gave you the guts to threaten my prisoner?" "Men, give Bai Chong 10 heavy lashes." Since the magistrate gave the order, how could the guards disobey? Even the eldest Bai's son was mercilessly pinned down. "My dad is Bai Dan." Bai Chong struggled as a cane slammed his back. He screamed in pain. Right in the middle of that deafening shout, Master Xiao and Basan hurried into court. "Dear son-in-law, stop. No more beatings." Master Xiao shouted at the top of his lungs from the doorway. Li Wei stood up. "Dear father-in-law, I'm in the middle of a trial here. Please go have some tea in the back courtyard." Master Xiao waved his hand, leaning in to whisper, "The Bai family will pay 5,000 taels. Hurry up and release the man." Li Wei nodded slightly, then told me I hadn't suffered any real injury. "So let's end the case here. Get out right now, or you'll all taste the wooden plank." I just smiled, saying nothing. A thought flashed through my mind, and I quietly used the system's loyalty card on Magistrate Li Wei. I planned this entirely. In a few days, I intended to leave Qingfeng County for good, ready to make my own mark. But before leaving, I absolutely had to build a safe, stable base for my friends and many wives. With the Qingfeng magistrate 100% loyal to me, that safe base would be totally rock solid. Meanwhile, Master Xiao and Basan awkwardly helped Bai Chong up from the ground. None of the guards dared to stop them. After all, this was his father-in-law. Taking my time, I finally spoke. Magistrate Li Wei, I think this trial needs to continue. Don't you agree? Li Wei flinched, then nodded firmly. It definitely needs to continue. He faced Master Xiao, father-in-law. Whether Bai Chong is guilty or not requires a trial. He just publicly threatened a prisoner and obstructed a crucial confession, so my applying the law was totally justified. You two are uninvolved parties. Please leave immediately. Or else. Are you still my son-in-law or not? Master Xiao shoved his finger right at Li Wei's nose. I say Bai Chong is innocent, so he is. I'm taking him today no matter what. They held up Bai Chong, ready to leave. I shot another look at Li Wei. With the loyalty card active, the magistrate was completely devoted to me. Whatever I asked, he would do. Best of all, I could issue commands right inside my head. I stared hard at him and gave a silent order. Today, Bai Chong goes down. Anyone who interferes gets severely punished, even your father-in-law. Li Wei instantly screamed at the guards, "Stop them right now." The guards didn't dare hesitate. They rushed forward in formation, completely blocking the path for Chief Xiao and the other two. Chief Xiao was furious, beard trembling. What is the meaning of this? You're really making them attack me? We'll see how you feel when I take Xiao Xiaoan back home. The whole town knew Li Wei adored his wife, Shakun, spoiling her completely. But Li Wei just slammed his palm hard against the desk. Xiao Yuqing, we are standing in a court of law. How dare a common merchant like you threaten an imperial official? Forget about taking Xiao Xiaoan back home. Even if you make her divorce me, it won't change the fact that you're smuggling a prisoner today. Beat him. Beat him hard. The court guards just traded thoroughly confused looks. They had never seen the magistrate this angry before, especially against his own father-in-law. Seeing them totally frozen made Li Wei roar in anger again. Are you completely deaf? My word is law, or do you intend to defy it yourselves? That single shout snapped them to attention. The 6 guards didn't dare hesitate anymore. They rushed forward, pinning Chief Xiao, Bai Dan, and Bai Chong to the floor. You're crazy, Li Wei. You have completely lost your mind. Chief Xiao twisted around and screamed toward the backyard. My daughter, come out here and see this. Your husband is committing an unforgivable crime against heaven itself. 6 more guards stepped up with wooden rods, unleashing a brutal, merciless beating on all 3. All 3 screamed at once. Li Wei, you actually dare strike me? I will make Xiao Xiaoan kill you. Chief Xiao was still trying to act tough. Li Wei tossed down another red command token. Still no remorse and still threatening an imperial official? Give them 10 more strikes each. Right in the middle of this chaos, Xiao Xiaoan came sprinting out from the backyard. Seeing her father beaten until his skin was practically torn, she threw herself at Li Wei in a furious rage. Why are your guards beating my father like this? Stop it right now. Li Wei's eyes widened in sheer anger. I am judging a crucial case. You are a woman with no place here. Back away immediately. Xiao Shen completely froze. Her husband had never used that kind of tone with her. Not with that expression or that sharp voice. He looked at her with pure, deep-seated hatred. She couldn't hold back her fury any longer, raising her hand to slap him right in front of everyone. It wasn't exactly the first time she'd pulled something like this. But right then, Li Wei caught her raised wrist, causing an absolute uproar. Since you want a taste of the rod so badly, I'll happily oblige. Guards, Xiao Xiaoan just tried to break a prisoner out. 10 strikes. Xiao Xiaoan looked completely shocked as the guards pinned her down. In her wildest dreams, she never imagined her husband doing this. He was a man who usually worshipped her, spoiling her way beyond all possible boundaries. Yet he actually ordered her beaten right before the entire court. The guards swung with some extra violent effort. For years, they had endured Xiao Xiaoan's constant scolding and humiliation, sometimes even taking a slap or two themselves. Today, backed by the magistrate, they could finally vent all that pent-up resentment on her. Over by Chief Xiao, 20 strikes had done the job. He was completely unconscious. Bai Dan and his son hadn't passed out, but they lay on the dirt, groaning in agony. The interrogation continued. Li Wei spoke with strict authority. Ma Xiaomo, give me every detail from beginning to end. If you tell a single lie, you will face the absolute worst torture imaginable. Kneeling there, Ma Xiaomo nodded furiously like a pestle mashing garlic. He had been counting on Bai Chong using the Bai family connections to save him. But who could have predicted the magistrate would be completely impartial today, showing absolutely zero favoritism? He just wanted to escape that brutal torture. At this point, he really had no choice but to confess every single detail. Magistrate, I really did pay Lu Shai 200 silver pieces to have Yun killed, but it wasn't my idea. Bai Chong orchestrated the entire thing. Sprawled out on the dirt, Bai Chong desperately gasped for air, still stubbornly holding his tongue. Magistrate, this guy Ma Xiaomo is just spewing absolute lies. I never told him to find someone to assassinate Yun. Hiring killers for a hit is a crime punished by death. Bai Chong had just taken 20 heavy strikes and lay there completely covered in blood. And yet his tone was still incredibly stubborn. He flat out refused to admit anything, dead set on pinning the blame right back on Ma Xiaomo. Ma Xiaomo kept kneeling, bowing deeply to Li Wei to plead his case. Your Honor, every single one of these actions was ordered directly by Bai Chong himself. First, he gave me 1,000 taels. He told me to personally hire the 10-kill king of hell. I stood on the sidelines, nearly bursting into laughter. Those two fought like rabid dogs, each one shiftier than the last. But their little schemes totally backfired, spilling their filthy secrets in front of absolutely everybody. Mao's tongue grew sharper the longer he kept talking. Later, I told Bai Chong the 7 ghosts of Guangnan would work too, since Lu Xiao's cousin actually knew them. But when I actually went looking for Lu Xiao, I learned his cousin had left that life behind ages ago. He had absolutely no way to contact them anymore.